Hello and welcome to the 2023 Cheltenham Festival preview with Next Gen Racing. My name's Sam Hart, I'll be your host this evening. We've got an excellent panel once again, the same as last year, but it was a great night last year, and thanks to everyone once again for supporting a great event. Next to me is my Next Gen co-host and my good friend Jack Dorling. Jack, say hello.
Hello everyone, not long till the Cheltenham Festival now, so yeah, hopefully pick a few winners.
And the man next to Jack is a man who last year wasn't quite in the position he is in now, but he is now a Grade 1 winning jockey. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Grade 1 winning jockey Niall Houlihan. And we'll be talking to Niall all about Editor de Gite when we get to the Champion Chase preview later on. And the man on the far end is an ex-jockey now. Last year you were a jockey. You had a couple of rides probably throughout the year. Yeah. But he is a man, I didn't decide to pull up your biggest win, but I decided to pull up this one as the replay. Ladies and gentlemen, it's former jockey Mattie Batchelor. Mattie, am I right in saying that got Ride of the Year? Is that correct?
Yeah, Noel said can never copy that video. He will learn an awful lot from that. If you notice, I only gave it one slap, pure strength from the saddle, where Niall's had to go for the stick a lot more times, but that's where experience comes in. Before we start, just checking, all the people over here, are you right? You can see us there? Over at George's Quiff, yeah, that's fine, yeah? Lovely. Just checking, thank you.
Right, we've got a great panel, like I say. We're going to be previewing some of the main races at the festival. We'll be looking at Tuesday and Wednesday's racing in part one. We'll then have a 10-minute interval where you can get a drink at the bar. We'll also have a charity raffle. We've got some raffle prizes next to me. I'll talk through those later on. But they're going to be in aid of the UNICEF Fund for Syria and Turkey. So we'd love for you to support that, and I'll let you know more about that later on during the preview. But let's get started, shall we? And we'll start off with the opening race of the festival. It's the 1:30 on Tuesday. It's the Sky Bet Supreme Novices Hurdle. It's a Grade 1 over 2 miles. And Facile Vega is your 7-2 favourite currently. Marine Nationale 4-1. Ilete Tom is 5-1. Gaelic Warrior won't be going here, but it's 7-1. Imperi Pass also probably not going here, 9-1. Lucia could go here, but 10-1. Tamuras 11-1 and 12-1 bar these. Now, the Dublin Racing Festival taught us a fair bit, Mattie, and Facile Vega unfortunately put in a really disappointing run. Now, can you forgive a horse like that for that disappointing run?
Yeah, definitely. Everyone, I know Willie Mullins sort of had a bit of a pop at Paul Townend, but you had JJ Slevin and High Definition taking him on, and once them two had locked horns, I mean, over the first two, you could see, I mean, we was actually in London that day, and you could see they was taking each other on too fast, too quick, too early. Luckily, JJ fell off, but he'd done too much by then, Vassell, and listen, he came home, he finished tired. Yes, he was reported to be lame after the race, but listen, there's still enough time from then till Cheltenham. If you didn't think there was, you wouldn't be running horse at the DFF, the Dublin Festival, because you don't know if he's going to go around there on the bridle and have an easy race. There's chances that he will have an hard race, so you've took your chance. Listen, he's had a hard race. If he gets over it, and the Facile Vega that we've seen at Cheltenham and in Ireland, then he wins for me, but it's just the whispers that are coming out that he bled, he's a bit lame, and that's why I fancy Marine Nationale. Barry Connell is a very good trainer. This horse, I've watched him, he just looks like, if there is such a thing like the perfect racehorse, he jumps, he's chilled in the preliminaries, he's quick, and he stays, and it's just every attribute that you need to win a Supreme. I mean, Imperial Impasse probably wants softer ground. You could argue Marine Nationale does, but if you look at both of their breeding, which again, I don't really go a lot on breeding, but they do say both of them will go on better ground. But I looked at an interview on Barry Connell, and he was so bullish about Marine Nationale, and he just stands out for me.
Yeah, Barry Connell actually had an interview on, I think it was Luck on Sunday, wasn't it? He said to get on the double of Marine Nationale and Goodland in the Ballymore, which we'll move on to later. No, I mean, Facile Vega, this horse here, the champion bumper winner from last year, and it has been the whole hype, and I'm not really a forgiving type with horses. I mean, obviously, I was quite disappointed what Facile Vega put in. I won't be trusting this horse come the Supreme. The only horse I trust, even if it puts in a bad run, is a horse that starts with Gauche and ends in N. And I just think that this horse here, at the price, do you think 7-2 is too short, or do we think we're now potentially looking at a big price around a horse who's won a champion bumper?
every horse has a bad day. Like they're horses, they're not machines. And like he's pulled up lame. It was a tough race. Nothing went to plan really. You can talk about prices 7-2, 9-4, whatever you go for. Is it a good price or a bad price when you see him hack up on the bridle? Because that's what Willie Mullins. He wouldn't send him there if it wasn't right. And look, he's a good horse, and they have bad days. They're only animals. I wouldn't mark him out. Like I've gone for Lucia each way, or yeah, 5-1. I'm not a gambling man, but I still think she will be in the first 3.
She go mares though, wouldn't she?
Well, this is the interesting one, is because if Lucia were to turn up here, I think she'd go very close to winning this. But I think the
I don't
owners
think she
want to.
will.
Yeah, the owners want to go to the mayor's novice.
Yeah.
She'd turn up in. That's another story, but she'll win.
Do you think she'd turn up in next year's
Yeah,
champion if
yeah.
Constitution Hill goes, even if Constitution stays over hurdles?
He won't. They go to the Arkle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Talk about that later.
So I relies alongside Nicky Henderson's like race planner.
Yeah, I spoke to Nicky.
Look,
Here we go.
This is the race planner, by the way, who said Appelutard has no chance in a Gold Cup as well.
He
So
did
it's
last
just-
year.
Oh, he started already.
Do you know what? I thought he'd leave
The
that for
fella
part two.
who's come and dressed like Wee Willie Winky has started already. Like, he's come in his nightgown. He's off already. His trousers don't fit him. He's pulled them up.
They can't see that on the
They're
camera.
hiding
They can't see
underneath.
there either.
Yeah, it's okay.
One horse you did mention, Mattie, was High Definition, who Facile Vega took on. I'll speak to Jack about this, but this horse was a one-time, big hope for the Derby at Epsom. Like, this horse has an engine but can't jump, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can write him off. I just don't think you can, as you say, I think his jumping needs a lot of work on. Just quickly, I have no clue how you've managed to get Goshen's name into a Supreme preview. That's absolutely remarkable. But look, I completely agree. I think you do have to forgive Facile Vega for that run. There was a legitimate excuse. He may have been a bit lame, but they did go off like the clappers. I mean, when you compare it to Gaelic Warriors race on the same day, and of course the race that State Man won on the same day, they did go off way too fast. And if you look at the 2 best novice pieces of form, I think, over 2 miles this year, it's that from Il Était Temps, and also what Facile Vega did at Christmas when he beat Il Était Temps by 4.5 lengths. Il Était Temps sat about a length and a half off, pulled down and dictated from the front, kicked clear, was about 4.5 lengths clear. I do respect Marine Nationale. I don't really like the prep coming straight from Christmas on heavy ground to then probably a decent surface in the Supreme. I don't really like that prep personally. I don't really doubt Barry Connell by any stretch of the imagination. But I just think if there is one horse that could blow this field apart, I think it is Facile Vega. And I think around the 3-1 mark, he's still a fair price.
Timurus is a good each way chance. He's a winner
Yeah,
of the
Nichols. It's just Nichols, isn't it? A lot of people don't like backing Paul Nichols at the Cheltenham Festival, rather backing when they get to Aintree. But
And when they interviewed him at Sandown, I think when they said, "Are you going to go for the Supreme?" Before he'd even answered, Dave Cross, I don't know if you know him, he's the most annoying bloke in racing, apart from myself. But before Paul could even answer, I think he said, "Yes, it's running the Supreme," and the way Paul looked, I think he was ideally wanted to step him up, which makes sense after winning the Tolworth. I don't know what the ground there. I think Noah was there. I think it was a bit deadish.
it was dead ground. Not like it wasn't deep, heavy ground, but it was soft, dead ground. As in Ireland, we call it yielding ground.
Yeah.
If you want to look at form.
So I mean, you're going to go quick in a Supreme, and you need to have a bit of toe to hold on to him, and you do need to stay up the hill. I mean, I think another winner of the Tolworth was a long time ago was Somerville Boy that won a Tolworth. So they have got good records in this race, and I just think at that price he's got a bit each way value.
okay, I mean, it sounded like when I spoke to you yesterday, you like the sound of just the 2 favourites, really, Facile Vega and Marine Nationale. It's going to be tough to split them, is that right?
Yeah, but I'm going to go with Marine Nationale. Yeah.
Okay, well, that means my graphic that's coming up in a minute is going to be completely wrong. I mean, at the start of the season, I would have told you that Facile Vega is the most likely winner of this race, but like I say, I can't trust this horse. I'm actually going to be with the horse that beat this horse at the Dublin Race Festival, and that's Il Était Temps.
What do you mean you can't trust him?
I'm one of these that don't like backing horses off the back of a bad run. No matter what's happened, I know there might be legitimate
It wasn't
excuses.
a bad
but
run, was it?
Go on, why was it?
Arguably, it's not a bad run. It's just the situation of the race. He just went too keen. It wasn't
Exactly, but why could that not happen again with similar horses in the race?
Because Willie Mullins and Paul Town wouldn't make the same mistake twice.
No.
But yeah, okay, no, it's fine. But I mean, was the horse was stiff, wasn't he? Is that right? Like after the race, they said that he came into the yard stiff, and I just don't know. Like the few question marks with regards to horse, I think Il Était Temps is on an upward curve. Jack, you mentioned about the triumph last year and horses coming to Supreme, maybe not the best record, but I just think that this horse on a massive upward curve. Won last time, hit the line pretty hard, and I think Willie Mullins could have the 1-2. If Festival Vega does come back, I'm not going to lie, he's going to be there. He's all thereabouts. But Ilete Tom, the fact he went and won that race, he won it in good style. He actually gave Festival Vega a little bit of a fright at one stage at Christmas time. I just think I'd take a chance. I mean, some people call it an each-way bet to nothing at 5-1, but
I do find it quite interesting though, because whatever stable tour you read, I know you need to take them with a pinch of salt, but he talks about Festival Vega as bouncing back to form and winning, whereas with Ilete Tom, it's just about hitting the frame, it's about placing. And I find it very interesting how he's so bullish on Festival Vega after that poor run. Yet Ilete Tom, yes, he did destroy the field, but he still kind of got a place chance at best if you take it on that.
yeah, we'll have to wait and see the opening race festival. So if we actually take away Festival Vega and we put Marine Nationale in there for Mattie.
I said Marine Nationale yesterday. You just don't listen to me.
You didn't.
I was going through a tunnel, I think.
Oh, right, okay, fine.
I suppose they do sound the same.
We start off the preview with 4 different selections. Let's move on to one where we probably won't have different selections. And this is the 2:10 on Tuesday. It's the Sporting Life Arkle Challenge Trophy Novices Chase over 2 miles. And El Fabiolo is your 6-4 favourite. Jambon is 7-4. Dysart Dynamo 11-2. Appreciate it 16-1. Banbridge 16-1. San Ra is 20-1. Final Orders 20-1 and 33-1. Bar these, Jack, probably one of the best match bets of the week we've got here between the 2 at the top of the market, Jambon and El Fabiolo. These horses actually ran over hurdles at Aintree and were really hard to split over hurdles. Will there be another close encounter here, or do you think Jambon will just win this?
I think it will be very competitive. I mean, the market suggests it's going to be competitive when you look behind me, but I am a massive Jambon fan. He's such a slick jumper. I think, yes, El Fabiolo did win well at the Dublin Racing Festival, but he didn't really live with Dysart Dynamo early doors. His jumping was very sketchy. I know a lot of people have said that's a good thing going forward, but he didn't live with Dysart Dynamo early doors, and I do think that Jambon will be able to exploit that. I think he got away with it against Dysart Dynamo because he was very lit up. It was over the 2 mile, 1 furlong. I think Dysart Dynamo does have a better chance dropping back the furlong and a half in the Arkle. I think one thing's for certain, he's going to be coming down and travelling like an absolute a good thing, but I don't know if he's going to find much. I think Jambon, yes, a lot of people have made a lot about his win at Warwick. It wasn't that impressive. Personally, I think it was quite nice to see something actually in front of him for the first time in his career over fences. I mean, he actually did have to work for it. I know Aidan Coleman was very bullish about it as well, and I just think to actually see him have to have a little bit of a battle, he's going to be ridden, I assume he's going to be ridden just off Dysart Dynamo. You looked at the racecourse gallop from Kempton last time out. He was settled in there in second. I'm assuming he's going to be ridden quite just off the pace for Dysart Dynamo, and hopefully Jambon can go and do the business. One interesting stat, 15 of the last 16 winners had previously raced at Cheltenham. Of course, El Fabiolo has no race course experience, so I'm just with Jambon, and I hope he can do it for the Brits.
Okay, I'm going to be with outside the top 2, which is probably dangerous at the start of the preview, but I'm going to be with Dysart Dynamo here. I know it's never easy probably to make an Arkle, but we've got to remember that the Irish Arkle is a little bit further than this, and if we actually stop the Irish Arkle at the 2 mile pole, Dysart Dynamo is in front. He has a proper engine. He does travel well, and I think that he could play a catch me if you can game. I mean, Jambon could outstay, but I'd have question marks with regards to El Fabiolo's jumping. Mattie, last year, I think you actually fancied Jambon for the Supreme. Are you going to be putting the horse up again?
I'd just like to say, if they stopped a Gold Cup for it, I would have won a Gold Cup.
Here we
What's
go.
a statement?
Here we go.
What's a statement to come out with?
Well,
What?
I'm not. By the way, I'm not the only one on these
If my
preview
auntie had
circuits that
balls,
said
she'd be
it.
my uncle. I mean, what a statement to come out if they stopped the rate.
Oh no, I just don't think he gets that distance at all well.
I
At 2 mile,
I
he
totally
get it
agree
better.
with you, but if you can't saying things like that, Sam.
Fine.
If they stop the race, I totally agree.
Have a word with a lot of people on these preview circuits then, because
Well,
it's
they're
not the first time.
absolute idiots. That's another comment.
We're not race
That's another
riders.
comment. Oh, the horse ran well. He was in front when he crossed the line. Didn't have a jockey on it, but he was in front.
Right, I'm not
ridiculous.
stupid enough to say that.
Well, good.
So Jambon, one for you?
Listen, Dysart Dynamo, I totally agree. The Cheltenham Old Course will suit him. He's a very, very speedy horse, and he jumps well. Jambon is an absolute certainty. He will jump El Fabiolo into submission. Whatever you say about Warwick, you can only take the positives from it. So you've got a 2-runner race, you've got 2 jockeys going out there. Basically, you're going around there, you think we're just going around and just pick up the prize money. And Aidan down the back, that's what he was doing. He was jumping out in front. Now, as a jockey, you ain't going to go out there. They're down at the start. Now, Harry Skelton is not going to tell Aidan Coleman what he's doing. So he sat behind him. He's just moseying along. The horse is not even out of second gear, Jambon. So Harry's gone, right, we're going to put this up to him. He sent these on, boom. He's caught him flat-footed. Now, what I liked about that is when Coleman got hold of him, the horse never panicked. He's jumping never faltered. And them fences down the back at Warwick are hard to jump. And going to the line, he was just getting back into gear and he was going away. And all I can do is take positives from it. El Fabiolo made too many mistakes round in Leopardstown. He's a big horse. He's got a heavy head, and Cheltenham might just catch him out because he's very on the forehand, and it might just catch him out. John Bond will jump him into submission.
Okay, John Bond for Mattie, very strong on that one. No, I'd actually like to mention a horse that's not going to be turning up, but just want to give him a quick mention because it was sad to see that he wouldn't be going to Cheltenham. That's Haddix de Zobo. Yeah. We'll quickly talk about him just because he's a really beautiful horse and he could be a great one.
Hold on, we're just having a conversation about a horse that's not running.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, right. We are absolutely, absolutely right. I just want to mention this horse for a minute, right? Only because this horse I think would have had a decent chance in this race if turning out. Hold on, Matty, you just stay quiet.
You sound like Chapman. Sounds like Chapman.
Perfect. Right. How good could this horse be next season? Can I just ask that quick question?
I think if he went in that race now, he'd be like a seasoned handicapper. He jumps brilliantly. He would have ran off in front. He would put more on any pressure, and it'd be catch me if you can. Pretty similar sort to Edward de Geet. They're by the same sire. They're 2 milers, and they're both front runners. And I think he would have been a big price horse coming here. Would have been a great bet for anyone going there. But look, he's not, sadly. Yeah, no, that's it. Nice horse
it's just a good one for people to follow for next season. But. Yeah. Who do you actually fancy in the race? No, is it going to be John Bond for you?
I fancy El Fabiolo.
Oh no!
Just because I think John Bond, he hasn't met enough competition, and I know Mattie says about if he was jumping might get found out. I don't think so. I think he's still a learning curve. John Bond hasn't faced enough. He's going to be this will be his first time in a race, probably at more than 10 runners, and I think it's around Cheltenham. If he gets, if he lines up, if he gets box seat. Has a great view behind Dice or Dynamo, he could go and bolt up. It could be wrong, but if he gets boxed in, we just don't know how his horse is going to be inside in company. Like he was beaten 20 lengths in Supreme last year by Constitution Hill, but he looked pretty okay as all. And then he's come out and he's won 3 pretty okay novice chases. And I just think you can pick holes in the form, whereas the Irish form just looks stronger for me.
Okay, yeah.
I've just got another question for Niall. Obviously, Boyd's going to Stardon. I mean, his first foal's not been born yet, but how do you think...
Matty, let's not start bringing up the flat, because I'll start talking for ages.
How do you think he'll perform?
He'll be quick.
Right, we'll move on, shall we, to a race where we're not going to spend much time on, because there's no real need to, is there? The 3:30 on Tuesdays, the Unibet Champion Hurdle Challenge Trophy. Grade 1 over 2 miles, Constitution Hill, the 4-11 favourite, State Man 11-4, Vauban 10-1, Honeysuckle, she won't be going here but should be 16-1. I like to move it 16-1, Epperton 20-1, Echoes and Rain 25-1 and 33-1. Bar these. Now this may be, by the way, one of the best national hunt horses we've ever seen. I think it's hard to say now he is the best horse until we've seen plenty from him, but he has the potential to be the best. Niall, I mean, you'd probably love to be on a horse like this, but who's going to be chasing him home?
Look, I think he's going to win. I don't believe any horse is going to come near him, probably about 5 lengths. But if we're going to go for a bet, I've put up First Street each way without the winner. 6-6-1, it's big odds. And I was behind him in a Jerry Field. I don't know, it's the same horse. It could be wrong. But got the form mixed up there. But look, he's a good, strong form. Henderson likes him a lot. The fact Henderson's sending him there suggests enough to give him each way shout him.
So potentially a Nicky Henderson forecast there. Mattie, like I say, possibly the best horse we've ever seen. Hard to say now, but how good could this lad potentially be?
Listen, I thought when he won the Supreme last year, I was walking down, going to watch the Arkle, and Aidan Coleman was walking down, and I was chatting away. And I said, Jesus. He said, you look, the winner turning in. And he said, Batch. He said, obviously he was on John Bond. And he said, I've got to 2L. He said, in the Supremes. Teddy Blue, you right, didn't you? Teddy Blue.
Yeah, I did.
He said, I've got to 2L. And he said, if anything comes past this horse now, he said, there's nothing coming past this horse. He said, I am sitting on an absolute aeroplane. And he went, and then this big jumbo jet come up beside me. and just kicked him out the park. I mean, he's only had 5 runs, but he just destroys everything in front of him, and I just can't see a state man. We don't probably really know how good he is. They keep saying he's improving. As you say, he won the county hurdle last year. He's done nothing wrong, but I don't know. Constitution Hill, to me, he just looks the real deal. I think Henderson kept him apart. I honestly think he's put John Bond win the Arkle this year, win the Queen Mother next year, Constitution win the Arkle next year after winning the champion hurdle. And I do like, do you know what? I love Nigel Twiston-Davies. He's not afraid to have a go at these big pots. I like to move it, show plenty of boot, 1 round Wincanton, and could run all right at 14-1. But to me, the first 2 spaces are a given already.
Yeah, he did look good in the Kingwell hurdle, didn't he? I like to move it. Is anyone in the room, just out of interest, I want to find out, put your hand up if you actually think that this horse might get beaten. See, that was easy. I want to see if anyone was with State Man, but that's a clear no. Jack, simple, this horse wins how many lengths?
Yeah, that is the question, isn't it? I mean, he's a slick jumper, he travels, I mean, he finds plenty. He's made Epperton look like probably like a 90-rated handicapper on his last 2 outings. Look, he is a very, very much a superstar. It's one to kind of sit back, enjoy. I think State Man is probably just nailed in for second. It's just kind of a battle for third. You kind of have to go without the first 2. I think that's a good shout if I like to move it. Personally, I think they might step up Constitution Hill in trip next year. I think Henderson said it a few times, he could go 3 miles if he wants to. I wouldn't be surprised if they try and step him up to 2.5 next year. I think they may go over fences as well. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the Turners or something like that.
I don't think they have to do that. I mean, he's still got... Listen, as you get older, your pace you do get slower. But it's not getting slower in the next 2 years. So I get what you're saying, but there's no point to go to a Turners yet. If you can win an Arkle and maybe a champion chase, I don't see why you'd go for a Turners because he's...
Would you win a Gold Cup or an Arkle? Or Gold Cup or a champion chase? Would you rather?
I think that's the thing, isn't it? He is the one at the moment who could actually just win it all. And I think if they do see the Gold Cup in their sights, and I think Buckley does have that in his sights, they probably do want to step him up next year.
I think once you start going over fences, your first stepping stone is 2 mile. So if you win an Arkle, you've got to go to a Queen Mother. I mean, you look... The prime example of that, and she trained him very well, was Edgerton Blur. Absolute speed merchant, won a Queen Mother, and then won a King George round Kempton. So I think, and Henderson's the right man, I think he will be patient. You can sort of be pushed in to go, why this run him in a Gold Cup? But he's only a young horse, there's no point yet. You just let him tell you what he wants to do. If they feel like he's losing a bit of speed, then they say, right, we'll step him up. But he's no better trainer to do that. So,
okay, so Constitution Hill, yeah, everyone thinks he'll win, but that's an obvious shout, 4-11. But a few each way angles mentioned by the panel there. Let's move on to not the final race. The penultimate race we'll be previewing on the Tuesday. It's the 4:10, the Close Brothers Mares Hurdle, Grade 1 over 2.5 miles. And Honeysuckle is the 5-2 favourite. Marie's Rock 4-1. Epperton, she's 5-1, needs to be supplemented. Love Envoy 13-2. Brandy Love is 7-1. Echoes in Rain 8-1. Queensbrook 12-1, 18-1 bar those. Now, Mattie, you're going to hate me here because I'm going to bring up Matt Chapman. I was listening to the Sky Sports Cheltenham preview. Matt Chapman said the other night that, and I do agree with him in some ways here, that she should be defending her crown in the champion hurdle. Now, I get the fact that you want to go for a race that you can win, but I'd love to see her go out, and if she finished placed in a champion hurdle, maybe she finished third behind Stateman and Constitution Hill, I don't think that ruins her reputation. It's kind of like that moment where I could see her coming in with Constitution Hill into the Prague, a bit like Delta Work and Tiger Roll last year, just kind of that one last hurrah. Can you agree with that in some ways or not?
no.
Right. I knew you wouldn't because Chapman said it, so you're always going to say no. But
So if you're
I'm not saying...
if you're the owner of Honeysuckle, you've won a champion hurdle,
yeah,
and you finished 3rd and 4th. Oh, would you like to come into the winners' enclosure with Constitution Hill? No, I bloody wouldn't. I'd like to go into the winners' enclosures in the mares.
Yeah, no, that's I completely understand it. I do understand
Yeah.
it, but I kind of see the angle of defending a crown in that, and
Yeah,
that
but
was the whole thing. At the
Yeah,
start.
but you say, can she defend her crown? I honestly,
Not a chance.
I
No,
don't
no,
think
no,
she.
no, no,
I don't
she
think she
couldn't,
can.
no.
So if you know your card is already dealt, your hand's already dealt, and you're thinking, listen, on all known form, visually, timings, she can't beat the front 2. So why not? Listen, Cheltenham is the be all and end all, and She's won a champion hurdle.
That's not what Paul Nicholas says.
Eh?
That's not what Paul Nicholas says.
No, what's he say?
He says, no, it's not all about Cheltenham.
No?
It's all about injury
He's
for him.
All about
isn't it?
injuries.
It's all
Yeah,
about
punch
injuries for
down,
him.
yeah.
He's lying. But yes, you've been there. You've got that T-shirt. I'd listen. It's only personal preference, but I'd rather go to Cheltenham, walk into the winning closures, winning a mare's race, and say, right, thank you very much. You can go off to wherever you want to do.
Do you think if she had won her 2 races in her prep for this, right? Say she'd come back, she'd won those 2 races, and still seen what Constitution Hill had done.
Sam, ifs.
No. But do you think she'd still go for the mares, knowing what
Not a
Constitution
chance.
Hill
If
had done?
she's beaten State Man-
They'd see it.
If she's beaten State Man, she's like nailed on to go to the champion.
Right. Yeah. No, that's fine. Yeah. No, I completely agree. But I just
Yeah.
wanted to find out. That's fine. So
But I'd say her hand's been dealt, and you go to the easiest opportunity for yourselves at Cheltenham, and it is the mares. People, as I say, people kick off about it, but I'd still rather go and win a race at Cheltenham.
And
You've won a champion hurdle.
will she have one last swan song then in this race? I mean, I'm going to be cheering her home no matter what.
I'll be cheering home. Yeah, I really hope she does. You've got to respect Marie's Rock. She is a bit of a hothead. Now she has won there, but she has tendency. She can go over the boil like that, and she runs with the choke out. Whereas Honeysuckle she's just a perfect ride. She settles, she switches off. So, yeah, I mean, you can, depending how many are in the race, and what Rachel does with Honeysuckle, like you can dictate the race. If she bounces out and makes the run in, and you start putting the anchor down, and Marie's Rock's pulling for her head, you've got all speed there. So you can play it into your hands.
See, I think Marie's Rock should come in. I mean, there's been talks about that horse going for the stayers, which is interesting. I don't know whether I'd fancy that horse stepping up in trip personally. I think I'd rather see her in here. I think she has more of a chance.
I think the stayers are stripped too far just because she does too much. She just, as I say, she just runs with the choke out a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't think she'll get up the hill in the stairs.
Fine. Niall, who's your fancy?
Honeysuckle.
Okay. Easy. Yeah.
Yeah, look, if you took Honeysuckle out of the race, it is therefore then a very competitive race, but she's in it, so I think she wins.
She might be a fair price at 5-2. Jack, I actually think, and I'll give a chance each way here for Brandy Love, who actually finished 8 lengths behind Queen's Brook after a 311-day break. Now, this actually reminds me of what happened with Annie Power back in 2016, where Willie Mullins did this. He went to that race at Punchdown. The horse actually won that day, but was only in a 3-runner field. The horse was 20-1 on that day, was always going to win. But this horse looked like it really needed the run. I think what Willie was saying about this horse coming on plenty, I've got a feeling that she's going to go close. I think she's an each-way price, and I'd be backing her each way here. Like I say, I'd love to see Honeysuckle go and win it from a racing perspective, but I do think that Brandy Love is way too big a price. I think this has got Annie Power kind of written all over it in the way that she's been campaigned for this. So I'll be with Brandy Love each way.
Brandy Love doesn't have a chance.
There we
she
go.
does not have a
Fine.
chance.
No.
She could have beat Anna Bonina last time out, and she was behind Queen's Brook, who was second in the mares last year. But she was. I think she was cozily beaten by Marie's Rock. Marie's Rock definitely had that race by the scruff of the neck at the line. I really don't think Brandy Love has a chance whatsoever in this.
She looked like she needed that run massively.
She did, but she's a bit of a nutcase. She's a bit of a nutcase.
Plenty.
She's going left-handed, which is handy. But look, she's definitely had problems this season. So she came out. I think the prep hasn't been ideal whatsoever. I really couldn't see her in the first 3 for sure. Honeysuckle is an interesting. I can't believe we haven't properly got into Marie's Rock. I think it's Marie's Rock's race to lose. It's umming and ahhing whether they're going to send her to the stayers or here and split up Epatante and Marie's Rock. If she does go here, I think she's definitely the one to beat. She's just got better and better. I agree with Mattie. She does get lit up. She's quite keen early doors, but I think she just settles beautifully around Cheltenham. I mean, you look at the real kill last time out. She beat the boys in good style. She was staying at the line. That was on soft ground. She loves the course. I think she's just getting better and better, and I think she's definitely the one to beat. I think 7-2 is a fair enough price if she does go here. If she doesn't, I think Echoes in Rain's the improving force in here. Fell in the Hatton's Grace when she definitely wasn't done. I know Patrick Mullins was quite annoyed finishing 5th in the mares last year. She was travelling beautifully. I think she just matured a little bit this year. She was very keen, didn't see out her races whatsoever over 2 miles. But for some reason, stepping up to 2 mile 3 in the Hatton's Grace this year, she looks like she's matured a bit. And I think she absolutely hacked up, beating Bob Ollinger, who, of course, is no force whatsoever in the Limestone Lad last time out. She just looks like she may have matured a little bit. And I think Echoes in Rain will be the each-way angle if Marie's Rock doesn't go here. But if Marie's Rock does go here, I think she's the one to beat.
Okay, we'll have a match bet on the day then between those two Willie Mullins horses by the sound of things. But it seems like the whole panel, a lot of people in the room would love to see, especially if you're going on the Tuesday, you'd love to see Honeysuckle win. The atmosphere there would be absolutely electric, were she to go and win. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. You've probably noticed on your, probably should have said this at the start of the preview, you've got lovely books there, courtesy of Hacked Up Horse Racing Gifts. Now, they on the front there, from the start of the season, they produced those, and it kind of says the changing of the guard with Honeysuckle, Constitution Hill and Vauban on the front, but unfortunately Constitution Hill is now going for the mares, so not exactly the changing of the guard there.
Constitution Hill's going for the mares?
No, sorry, Constitution Hill's going for the champion, but Honeysuckle's going for the mares. Let's move on. The 5:30 on Tuesday is the National Hunt Challenge Cup Amateur Jockeys Novices Chase, a Grade 2 over 3 3/4 miles, and Gaillard de Menil is your 5-4 favourite. Ramillies is 13-2, Churchstone Warrior 7-1, Marla Mission 8-1, Chemical Energy 9-1, Mr. Coffee 10-1. This horse can never win. Manila Crooner 20-1 and 25-1 bar these. Now, Jack and I on our YouTube channel have had many discussions about this market and potential bankers for the festival. And for the past 6 months, Jack has been telling me that Chemical Energy to place in the top 3 at even money is the ante-post banker of the festival. Are you still in that camp?
That did change after his reappearance. I've got to say, yeah, it was 11-10 at the time when he was 9-2. I thought it was an all right price. I think if good ground does turn up, I think he does have a chance. Don't think he's a great jumper, but in October at Cheltenham, he absolutely hacked up. It kind of reminded me a little bit of what Galvin did on good ground, but came out, literally jumped horribly behind Ramillies on that day, who finished second in that race. I think Chemical Energy does have a chance of placing. But Gaillard de Menil, look, he should probably win on ratings. We know he stays the trip because he was third in the Irish National. He's now a Grade 1 winner. He's always on the scene there, of course, as a second season novice. But I am a big fan of Marla Mission. John McConnell, of course. Barry Neal's going to ride as well, which is a big plus. I think he's just been getting better and better at Cheltenham. He didn't jump very well. That was just a complete write-off. He's just been taking a step forward and a step forward. He won from the front at Navan. I think he's an absolutely brilliant jumper, and then finished second. Jumped a little bit left at the last to Churchstone Warrior, but I think he's going to stay. And I think he's got a great each-way chance. So I'll be definitely taking Marla Mission ahead of Gaillard de Menil.
Okay, Marla Mission for Jack. Mattie, Gaillard de Menil. Look at this horse, second to Mighty Potter in the Drymore. We'll get on to Mighty Potter later. Won at Christmas in the 3 mile Grade 1, beating Churchstone Warrior, who's also turned up here. Third over 2 mile 5 at the Dublin Race Festival. That was just too quick. This horse needs a trip. And you got to remember that this horse last season was third in an Irish Grand National carrying top weight. Now, he looks a bit of a banker to me. Does he to you?
Yeah, absolute banker. If he wasn't as slow as a funeral procession, he'd run in a Gold Cup. But unfortunately, he is the proverbial boat. He is slow. That's why he's running over this trip. But he's so much better than the rest. I'd give a shout out for Mr. Coffee each way. Mr. Derek O'Connor came over and rode him at Uttoxeter. Finished second. He'll have a big run before he goes to the National, which he'll also run well in. But Gaillard de Menil, he's the classiest horse in the race. He's just, this race is made for him. Listen, slow horses can win races, and unfortunately, he is slow. This is an absolute marathon, and he win.
There we go, for the first time of the night. Me and Mattie agree on something. And Niall, the first long slog of the festival. Who's the best horse in the race?
Best horse in the race is Gaillard de Menil. Look, third in Irish National stage trip. He just looks like a banker. He's Even's favourite in the race. And I will say, though, we'll just take Jack on and say I don't see Manor Mission outsaying Churchstone Warrior. Just to burst that bubble.
Anything to say for that?
Oh, no, I think he's going to keep staying on. I think he's shaped last time out. I know he did get outstayed last time out. I think he just shapes like he could be able to stay on over 3.5, 4 miles as he did over 3.
So would Churchstone Warrior.
Yeah, he may be able to. I just think at the price, I think he's a much better jumper than Churchstone Warrior.
I just think Aidan Cohen's in Poppy was.
So Gaillard de Menil for 3 of us, 5-4. And Marla Mission. What price was Marla Mission? Around what? 6 to 1?
6 to 1, 8 to 1, something like that.
The win bet for you or each way?
Each way.
Each way. Okay, right, fine. We are going to be giving out some nice socks as we did last year, courtesy of Hacked Up Horse Racing Gifts. So I'll do a question after each day for the socks. And the first question, I'll have. Should we have people shout out or people hands up? Shout out. You have to watch then. Constitution Hill has won 2 races leading up to the festival this season. What are the 2 races? George Gorman might take home plenty of socks tonight, I've got a feeling, in the draw. There you go. Pair of Cheveley Park socks for you. He's now banned from any more questions. Let's move on to the Wednesday then, shall we? I've got a few races to preview on the Wednesday. The 1:30 is the Ballymore Novices Hurdle, Grade 1, over 2 mile, 5 furlongs. This is a cracking race, actually. Hermes Allen's 5-2, Impere Pass 4-1. Gaelic Warrior is 9-2. Goodland 11-2. Champ Kylie is 8-1. In the Pocket 16-1. MC Garden 16s and 20-1. Bar these. Now, Hermes Allen's form has worked out so well from the Shallow Hurdle on New Year's Day. Everything in that race and their dog has come out and won since. Even horses that were pulled up in that race have come out and won. So, look, it's Nichols again, Matty. This is the question. Like, are you going to be happy back in Nichols here at Cheltenham?
Listen, visually, he does look the real deal. But you know what? I'm just going to go. I do like the look of Gaelic Warrior, and it goes against the grain probably because he won a handicap at the Dublin Festival, carrying 12 stone. Second horse at 10.5, and he's beaten, I think, 3.5 lengths. Yes, people say he jumps right, he does this. I think it's more of a habit than, because if you look at Ireland, when he's in the middle of the pack, he jumps straight as a die. Now, I think as a jockey, you can use that to your favour. So he'll sit in round the race. He'll come down 2 out. You can come to 2 out, and if you make your way over to the stand sides, coming down to 2 out, no one in their right mind, if the jockeys have done their own work, which of course they have, everyone knows Gaelic Warrior jumps to the right. So if he makes his way over to that stand side, it's going to be a fool to try and go up his inside. So not only have you bagged the stand's rail, it stops him jumping right over the last 2, especially the last. And I just think he's got a bit about him. The way he carried that weight in that race. I mean, I do like the look of Hermes Allen, and as you say, visually the form has worked out absolutely fantastic. But I just like Gaelic Warrior for a bit of value.
Okay, Gaelic Warrior. I mean, a lot of people may not forgive this horse from last year's festival. Probably one of the biggest gambles, wasn't he, in the Boodles handicap?
Got beat by Brazil, yeah. He's probably arguably should have won.
How he didn't win off 129, and now what he's doing now is absolutely crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's just luck on the day sometimes. And you think he's got to win everywhere by the line, but that's racing. So you'd forgive any horse. Okay, it's still a good run.
He is talented. He's got his quirks, but he definitely is talented. Jack, Willie Mullins sending at the top of the market 3 fascinating horses here. All of them with different quirks, all of them with different running styles. I know we've both had a good conversation about Champ Kylie. Jack actually gave me a lovely bet and said it's worth having a fiver on Champ Kylie winning the Laws of Nace and then winning the Ballymore, which we're sitting on quite tidily, but it's become a much more open race now, and I'm a little bit worried.
Yeah, I think if you asked 100 people the result of this, you'd probably get 30 or 40 different answers. I reckon you could talk about this all day and make an unbelievable case for the front 5 or 6 in the market. They're very, very tough to split. Hermes Allen's a very slick hurdler. I think his run at Cheltenham as well. Even that hasn't worked out that bad. I don't think we've all been caught. Gave any kind of his running at the Dublin Racing Festival. Collector's Items come out and won since as well. And of course, what he did in the Challow was very impressive. I know a lot of people get hung up on the Challow hoodoo. I think it was 0 from 20, the stat there. If there is going to be one to break that, I think it is Hermes Allen. Gaelic Warrior, I completely agree with Mattie. A lot has been made out of him jumping to his right, but when he's in the middle of a pack, he does jump as straight as anything. The one thing that worries me is how he didn't win the Boodles. I'll never know. He came there travelling like anything and still didn't stay. So stepping up in trip, I don't know. No one's had any qualms about him stepping up in trip. I still think he has a little bit to prove stepping up in trip. I know the Ballymore can sometimes turn into a bit of a pace contest, and if it does, I think he is going to be bang there. Goodland, of course, is there as well. But the one for me who's just a bit of an enigma at the moment is Impere Pass. 1 over 2 mile 3 at an absolute canter. Step back in trip in the Moscow Flyer. Jumped beautifully. I mean, had the Model Kingdom on his inside, jumping horribly. So I think that did pay to himself a little bit. But I think he stays 2.5. He has a turn of foot. He's a great jumper. I think he's got a lot of potential. I think he's very aesthetically pleasing on paper. But I think he's definitely going to go off favourite. I think he'll go off 5-2 probably on the day. And Impere Pass is the one for me at the moment.
Jack, do you think Gaelic Warrior didn't stay, or Brazil had more toe than him last year?
Probably the latter, but I still think stepping up in trip to 2.5, well, 2 mile 5. I know it's not. I know the Ballymore is usually more of a pace contest, but I think this year you got Hermes Allen, Champ Kylie, both probably going to vie for the front, going from the front, both trying to lead. They've both made all. Champ Kyle, I think it was an absolute Danny Mullins classic in the Lawlers of Naas when they omitted 2 hurdles, and it was a big long run in that day. And I think he's being a little bit overlooked as well. He also jumps out to his right a lot more consistently. But I think this could turn into a little bit more of a staying contest, and if it does, I think there is a little bit of a question mark there with Gaelic Warrior.
Okay, yeah, I was listening to the Race Hour Cheltenham preview, and they had Mikey Fogarty on there, obviously rides out for Willie Mullins, and he was like, in Presbury Park, this horse will win. Like, it was like, he was so confident. He said, this horse is a bit of a monster. So, yeah, I agree with what Jack says. I think this horse is a right chance. No, I mean, there's one horse that Gary could send here if it absolutely hammered it down, I'd imagine. That would be Gavega. Probably not going to hammer it down looking at the conditions now, but it's got to be all around the top of the market, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be top to market. It's going to be within the first 6, which doesn't really narrow it down too much. But it won't rain. Gavega won't go there. At 9-4, Hermes Allen, I cannot be taking on the Northern 20 for Shallow Hurdle. Just like, you can say, oh, if he's the one, but like, Denman could have been the one. He was a monster, and Braveman's Game was a monster, and Stage Star, and they all got beaten. Like, that day in Newbury was very soft ground. I rode that day as well, and it's going to be a different kettle of fish. They're totally different tracks there. They are left-handed, but they're polar different there. I'm going to be looking at Champ Kiley because everything went wrong from the Royal Bond. I was really impressed with how he just went from the front in Naas the last day, and 2.5 front runners course. I think you say you're saying about them all having speed, but it's 2.5 miles. And I think if he can jump out, he'll stay at 3 and make it a gallop, which he likes. Won't be fighting the bit too much. He should be.
You wouldn't mind seeing Danny Mullins on this horse either, would you?
No,
I'd
love to see it
run from the front.
They got him well the last day, and I think at 8-1 he's definitely got great value.
You think he will be on as well?
No, I think so.
Darryl Jacobs going to be on Presbury Park, Gaelic Warrior, Paul Tannen. You like to think Danny will be Champ Kyle.
I'd say that's probably the order, yeah. Okay, so there we go. Selections on the screen there for that race. In Presbury Park for myself and Jack. Gaelic Warrior for Mattie Batch and Champ Kyle for Niall Houlihan. Let's move on then to the 2:10 on Wednesday. It's the Brown Advisory Novices Chase, Grade 1 over the extended 3 miles, and Jerry Colom is the 2-1 favourite. The Real Whacker is 9-2. Time Hill 11-2. Sir Garhard 6-1. Ramillies is 12-1. Gail de Manil 12-1. They're not going to be going here. Mighty Potter 16-1. Probably not going to go here either. And 18-1 Bar. The unbeaten Jerry Colom will most likely win this. There's a few question marks with regards to the ground, potentially wanting some juice in the ground. I like one each way, and it's the same as Niall's, I believe. I quite like the Devil's Coachman at 18-1 in here. A fairly big price for the Noel Mead team. Now, he wasn't the first past the post the last day. He actually finished second, but the stewards reversed the placings due to a bit of interference from Paul Town in the board Ramillies. He didn't have the pace of the Drinmore. I think he's just made for a strongly run 3 miles. His form is strong. He beat Churchstone Mori in a beginner's chase. And I just think that, I know it's his first time coming to Cheltenham, there's probably a few question marks there and, you know, horses for courses and all that, but I think Noel Mead will have this horse ready as anything, and I've just got this feeling that he will go very close at around 18-1 each way, I believe. And Niall, you're in agreement there?
Yeah, I think he's a very great value at 18-1. He won a strong gallop, he'll get it there. It usually is it's usually a dour test 3 miles around Cheltenham, and I just think while it's all very condensed and hot at the very top of the market, I thought at 18-1 he just needs to way bet. 100%
Devil's Coachman. Mattie, you did watch Sky's preview. You were telling me all about Jamie Codd and what he said, and he seemed very confident on Jerry Colom, didn't he?
Yes, he really likes the horse. All his form, yes, he won at Sandown on deadish ground. Shouldn't be a problem, but I do like the Real Whacker. Since moving to Patrick Neville's, both his wins, like he's got course form, and to go round there and get experience and jump the way he did round there, it has to give you a little bit in hand. I mean, listen, Sandown's a tough track to jump round, don't get me wrong, it's very tough. But Jerry Colom, he sort of done it easy, he won it well. But the Real Whacker, he just goes out there where his heart's on his sleeve, and I just love horses like that, and I do like the Real Whacker.
I'm pretty sure the owners were actually contemplating giving this horse a Gold Cup entry. I'm pretty sure they did think about it, and fair play to him. You know, only one chance really for this horse as a novice, get some weight and have a go. But
you could see over 3 mile 100%. he wasn't stopping up the hill. He was flying. So it's I just like the fact that he's won twice round the course, and he's already been round there, and to me that's invaluable. Like listen, Jerry Colomb jumps just as good and visually probably looks the better. But I just like the way the Real Whacker's attitude.
Okay, fine. The Real Whacker for Mattie, 9-2. Now, I'll do a little plug here, Jack, and you're probably going to hate this, but Jack has started the Next Gen TikTok page, and Jack has recently put a post up with the lays of the festival in the top 3, and Jerry Colomb, due to the ground, was one of them, I believe. Are you going to be taking this horse on? Are you not confident if the ground was good that this horse will win?
Was it one of them?
I think it was, yeah.
Okay, it was one of them. No, I just think it's a really poor race, to be fair, as an RSA goes, or a Brown Advisory, whatever you want to call it. Jerry Colomb, yes, he's the most likely winner. The market does show that. The step up to 3 miles shouldn't be a problem. He won over 3 miles at a point-to-point. Don't think the ground will be too much of a problem if it does dry out. He is definitely the most likely winner. But if there is a class angle in there, I know he was pretty poor over 2 miles over fences, but Sir Gerhard, he's won at Cheltenham twice. He's definitely the classiest in the race. Yes, he didn't look like he took to fences brilliantly. He hasn't had a great prep. I think Willie Mullins has never sent anything to a novice chase after just one run. So if he is going to do it with Sir Gerhard, I'd like to think he's going to be ready. And if there is a class angle which does get the better of Jerry Colomb, I think it could be Sir Gerhard. A few little stats or trends that I'll just throw in there. French breds are 1 from 40 in the race. Of course, Jerry Colomb is French bred. 9 of the last 11 were rated at least 143 over hurdles, which counts out the Real Whacker, Ramillies, Stage Start. Jerry Colomb didn't actually get a hurdles rating, and 13 of the last 16 had run at a previous festival, and neither Jerry Colomb or the Real Whacker have. The Real Whacker, of course, has got the course form, so I don't think that's too much of a problem. Looks like he's in love with the game, but I just think it's not really a race that I'll be getting involved with. If I do, then I think Sir Gerhard could just be the class edge, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him go well.
Tyne Hill, do you give that a chance?
Yeah, I think you have to.
No, according to his stats, he's too old.
Is he?
Oh yeah. The last 12 winners were either 7 or 8. He's 9.
He's 9.
and right in saying Tom O'Brien's missing the festival, which is a massive shame, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, gutted for Tom. Yeah,
Yeah.
great lad. Michael Nolan, he's picked up a great ride, but yeah, he's probably towards the latter stages of his career. So to ride a horse like Tyne Hill in this chance, I mean, he was second in last year's Stayers behind Flora Porter, so the form's all there to be seen. He won well at Kempton, so yeah, it's a shame for Tom, but listen, that's racing.
Okay, yeah.
I think. Sorry, Tyne Hill's almost nailed on to be 3rd or 4th yet again.
He's
like,
going to be
just
staying
runs
on.
a good race
Gonna
at
be
Cheltenham and
staying
just
on.
places year in, year out.
100%. Let's move on then. So probably one of the best races to preview on the night. It's the 3:30 on the Wednesday. It's the Betway Queen Mother Champion Chase. A grade 1 over 2 miles, and we've got the jockey just over here riding one of the more favoured runners in the field. We've got Energumene 7-4, Edwardstone 15-8, Editor de Gite is 6-1, Gentleman de Me 10-1, Blue Lord 12-1, Nube Negra is 28-1, and Greenatine 40-1, 51 bar these.
We don't need to spend too long on this, do we?
We don't. Should we just leave it to? We should probably just leave it to one man, shouldn't we? Niall Houlihan, you're going to tell everybody in this room why you're going to win the champion chase aboard Editor de Gite.
Wait, who did I tip again?
No, yeah, you better have tipped your own horse here.
Yeah, I think he's going to win.
How like this horse here, right, has I think gone off 28-1 and 14-1 in those the grade 2 and grade 1 win that he's had this season. So underestimated, and I know the horse is a lot shorter here now, 6-1, but is this horse still underestimated from a big front-running ride?
He's not underestimated because you might see tipsters and people of like on Cheltenham Preview even saying, "Oh, he's got no chance, this, that, and the other." But I can guarantee you've got Willie Mullins, Alan King, Tom Cannon, and Paul Townend all saying, "What we're going to do about this?" And that's just that's a pleasure in itself. I think he loves the course, old or new course, no matter what. I've ridden around both. He's won on both. The ground, touch wood, at the moment, it should be pretty good. Probably on the dead side because they've watered it, and that will again suit him. He's bisadex. He'll want a bit nice cut in the ground. And look, I'm just going. They know what I'm going to do in it.
Yeah, no. I was going to say this. So
What are you going to do?
No,
Hold it,
Drop in.
hold it up. Yeah.
Not giving you cards.
Ride in for a
close to your chest,
place. Ride in for a place. Yeah.
Nick a bit.
A lot of jockeys on these preview nights you go around to will never give their tactics away for a race, but this horse here has to be ridden from the front. Noel, get this horse out. Try and get this horse into a lovely rhythm.
The thing is, I don't think he has to be ridden from the front.
What,
It just
can I
suits
question?
him.
At the start of the season, a lot of people question. I was actually speaking to George yesterday on the phone, but a lot of people question why this horse was held up on his first run of the season. Can you explain why that happened and we saw a disappointing run there, and then why we suddenly seen this horse at his best from the front, where everyone thinks he's best?
For first run of the season, he needed it. We knew it going there, and the last he wanted to do was empty him out. He's just coming right. if you put the horse aside in this room here, he probably wouldn't fit. He's about 17-1. He's beautiful. Like, I love the horse to bits. And but he's a big horse, and they always tend to need their first run. Even in Ascot, he unseated first run last season, and it's just down to pure tiredness. So it was a weak race, and we were just worried that we gun him out, he might fall in the hole. So just tried to sit with him, but it turned out he didn't need to run. Not gonna lie, he came third behind moderate enough company. But Dad's Lad, even though it's a good chance for the Grand Annual. But he actually gave me a similar feel mid race as he would if he's out in front. He's still pinging hurt fences. He was He's still travelling well, but he just needed it. But say if something came outside me, I wanted to go a million. He could sit second there and still, as long as we're going to go gallop, as long as it's an end-to-end gallop, he'll be there by 3 out and he can kick away. Like he'll stay.
We saw the replay at the top of the show of you beating Edwardstone that finish. Edwardstone did put his head in front briefly, but did you know at that point when Edwardstone came up alongside, this horse will battle for me and will do his best to get there?
I didn't know, because obviously any time a horse had come to him in the past, it'd been a handicap company, and they'd only ever got to his girths and he kind of just edged him out. Whereas like Edwardstone was the perfect run he got. He winged the last, so did I, but he just winged it, used his gear. He got past me, and horse, he just, you can see him there. He put his head out for me.
Yeah, neck was down.
That's Joan horse going to the dark place. It's pure guts, like.
Okay, now I think the question for everyone here will be the horse that you're most worried of. Obviously, Edwardstone was in that finish with yourself, but Energamy made a massive blunder at the last fence there, and I know that he may not have come and won that race, but he would have been a lot closer. Is he the one you're actually worried about, or would you still be worried about Edwardstone as your main danger?
You always worry about Willie Mullins at Cheltenham, but I believe the one to worry about, yeah, it's probably Edwardstone. Like
Edwardstone, yeah.
I wouldn't change any. If I had picked a horse in the race, I wouldn't change any of them. Okay. And that's probably my heart saying most of that, but that is also a small bit of my head.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, I mean, King was questioning why Edwardstone didn't hit the line as hard as he usually did in that race there. So a few question marks there. Whether he's sort of, got Edwardstone where he needs to be now, I don't know. But no matter who you're on in the race in this room, I'm sure you're going to be cheering home Niall on the day. It'd be fantastic to see him go.
If not, we're having words.
Yeah. If not, you probably won't be back here next year.
Not here next year.
Mattie,
I'm cheering on Edwardstone.
Oh, okay.
You can walk home, so.
Mattie,
bad hip.
I was going to say, I mean, you mentioned we were in the Racing Post studio the day and Niall actually won the Clarence House, and we both came out of the studio and we both went, Niall's bloody done it. And we were so happy for him, we both popped him a message. But like I say, Edwardstone and Energamy behind him, an Arkle winner, last year's Champion Chase winner. It's not an easy task going back to the festival here for Editor de G. Could Niall do it?
Yeah, definitely. Let's go back to Cheltenham, and like Niall will never say it, but that day he's gave that horse an absolutely fantastic ride. He's rode him to sleep, like, because Edwardstone is coming back off an unseated, and he does get a bit of fresh, the horse, and that's why they've dropped him out as far as they did. And we, as you say, we watched it in the Racing Post studio, and he was keen early, and when you're that keen, you're going to struggle to finish up the hill. He did look like he was going to come and beat Niall, but Eddie Degree has out-battled him. But arguably, Edwardstone has probably got a tad tired. He will ride him a lot differently at Cheltenham, but listen, Niall's going to wear his heart on his sleeve and jump out. Energamy, yes, you've got to respect him, he's last year's winner. I don't really buy into the... he didn't like the white fences, he's jumped a couple too big. I mean, is Willie Mullins that hard up? He can't buy some white paint? Surely you would paint the fence at home, would you? I don't know. I don't... It just seems a bit of an easy excuse. All the facilities you've got at home... I mean, I don't know. I looked on Google. I don't think there's a B&Q near. I don't think there's a B&Q near Carlo, but there is a paint shop near there. I've Googled it. So
Joseph O'Brien, JJ Slevin actually went out and painted some of Joseph O'Brien's fences.
I painted Gary's.
Did you paint Gary's? Did you? How much of a difference does it actually make now? Being honest,
absolutely no difference whatsoever.
No, I disagree.
Really?
Yeah.
But before you was even born, they started off at white, and then some idiot had a brainwave said they'd be orange.
Yeah.
So now it's gone back to white.
But all I'm going to say is all the French fences are painted white. I love look at the list of horses there. I guarantee about 70% of them probably came from France. What I will say is that on a dark day in Fontbell, the white stands out better. When you're going down the back straight in the 450 in the piss and rain, and there's mud everywhere, you can just actually see the hurdle a bit better.
So
there is science behind it that the horse has got a different eye to humans. They can't actually tell orange apart from brown.
No. I totally agree. They've got better eyesight.
We're jockeys. We're ain't scientists.
They're colourblind. They can't see diddly squat. Like you've written out for Gary Moore, and when he was down in Sussex, the places he used to take us in the mornings at 5:30 in the morning, you could not see your hand in front of you. And we're going through these fields. They've got holes in them. You're going through gaps in the trees, and you're just praying like you couldn't see them. And you're going up this field, and all of a sudden, this horse sees this hole. Next minute, he's jumping it. So, white and orange, absolute load of cobwallop.
But I will say, a bad jumper won't take notice of the colour.
Right, there we go.
You're still seeing horses go on the floor with white.
Yeah.
It's.
I mean, I haven't noticed much of a difference watching racing, but you probably
I don't
wouldn't, would you?
know. It's just someone. He summed it up the other day. Someone needed a job to get paid for it, and he's come up with this bright idea to paint him white, and they think he's great. It's absolute.
Right, let's move away from it, shall we? Jack, the man sitting just to your left, is the man riding one of the more favoured runs in the Champion Chase. Are you going to tell him to his face that he won't be winning it?
I don't want to. I'm too scared. I'm too scared to. No, for those...
No, speak sense.
No, I'm going to speak absolute not sense here.
Speak sense, you didn't speak that in 2 years. Speak that in 2 years. You ain't going to start now, is it?
Gary Young knows exactly
what's
about
worse.
to
I'm getting a few funny
he
looks
knows,
here.
yeah.
Look, it's a very competitive Champion Chase. Enigamain and Edward Stone and Editor G all have great chances. But I really cannot get away from Nube Negra.
What? Really?
Sam.
I thought I was talking the most nonsense tonight, but now look what's happened.
Move on to the next race, quick. Jesus.
No, we'll hear him out. We'll hear him out.
Oh, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, the ground in Kempton didn't suit him.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Didn't suit my horse either.
So going left, he loves Cheltenham. He loves good ground. That goes without saying. He should have won a Champion Chase. He should have put the kettle on. He was staying on at the line, had to switch right after the last. He was staying on at the line, should have won back in 20...
20 what?
So what you're saying, if the Champion Chase was run over 2.5 miles, he would have won?
Are we done?
Here we go.
Okay, no. So at Kempton last time out.
Stop the race.
At Kempton last time out.
And the next race we're moving on to is the 4:10.
No. Honestly though, at Kempton last time out, the ground went against him. He gave Editor G 7 lengths that day. He was beaten 13, but every single fence he jumped left and then jumped left again, then jumped left again. And yes, Kempton didn't suit. I don't think it suited whatsoever. But I just think on good ground, back at Cheltenham, he is overlooked. He's 25 to 1. Look, he's 25 to 1. He's not a shorty. He obviously has a 4% chance as the bookmakers take it, which is fair enough. I just think if the weather is going the way it is at the moment, he loves it round Cheltenham. He loves good ground. And there are question marks about the front 3 or 4 in the market. Look, Edward Stone and Enigamain were beaten last time out, and Editor G, a lot of people trying to pick holes in him. If there is good ground that day, I think a lot of them have to prove it. Nube Negra has to prove it on class because, of course, he was absolutely whacked at Sandown in April. He was beaten very comfortably by Editor G. But look, everything's going to be in his favour. He's going left-handed on good ground. If he goes and gets whacked here, I'll finally jump off the cliff and say, okay, cool, I've had enough of Nube Negra, but I still think I'm owed a bit of justice for 2021, and I do think in March it could be that justice.
Fine, okay, so you're never going to be tipping up Nube Negra ever again after this race. Let's move on to race. We're not going to spend much time on this race because some people love this race. It's not, in terms of stories last year, it was one of the biggest, but it's not my favourite race of the festival. It's the Glenfarclas cross-country chase over 3 miles, 6 furlongs on the cross-country course. And Delta Works, the even money favourite. Galvin 11-4. Franco de Pors 8-1. Back on the Lash 14-1. Daishabas 16-1. Snow Leopard S is 20-1. Diesel Dahlia 25-1 and 33-1. Bar these. Now, I had a few people with me on the Wednesday of Cheltenham. It absolutely bucketed it down, which was a bit of a shame with regards to the moment that happened. But Tiger Roll went to go and win the race, and Delta Work just came alongside the same colours, same trainer, and just pipped him at the line. And they did come back into the winners' enclosure together. It was an amazing day, but it was hammering it down with rain. I was actually in the Centaur watching the race. I wasn't actually on the course. I couldn't stand that. Mattie, I don't want to spend too much time on this, to be totally honest, but I'd say if we do get a bit of juice in the ground, Delta Works going to be the one to beat, but if it stays fairly quick, Galvin's going to be the one.
Yeah, Coddy was on the preview the other night and he schooled him around the course and he said he absolutely loves it. He just offers you a bit of value. To me, his Delta Work wins. He's had his prep runs. He's ready to go. I just like, you know what, each way, I do like the Martin Keatley horse at 14-1. Been round there, one round there, back on the lash for Harry Redknapp, and just think just a bit of each way value.
I think back on the lash is quite a popular one each way from what I've heard from a lot of people. Actually, Batch, how many times? I mean, I've seen that you've ridden around these. How many times have you ridden around these fences?
Yeah, I went halfway around it. Yeah.
Was that the unseated rider that I saw for the Bradstocks?
Yeah, that was
2009. Was that the one?
2009, King Harold. He bless him. He won at the festival, but gee, he was the most clumsiest horse you ever sit on.
How far did you get?
I got to the cheese wedges, got round the bend, and either he tripped over himself or I was upsides Andrew Fulton and he tripped him over. But I was on my backside, put it that way.
Is it good fun as a jockey riding around those fences?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, half of it was great. Yeah, it was brilliant.
No, you've never ridden around these, have you?
No one's ever given me a ride. I take a ride. I love to ride in a cross-country race. I rode in a similar sort of race out in France where I had like banks and bullfinches and big, massive hedges. But and actually, when I was in France at the time, I was in the same yard that was Diesel Dahlia's old yard. I actually rode him out at the yard about 4 years ago this stage. And I think he could be he's an old stalwart. He loved the course, loved big good ground, and I thought 33-1 he could have a chance. I think Delta Work will win, but at 33s, you're looking for a bit of each way value.
Okay, yeah, Delta Work for a lot of people will be one of the bankers of the festival. Jack, like I say, great scenes last year. No Tiger Roll in the race this year. Delta Works to win.
Yeah, definitely. It's not a race that I really like, to be honest. I think it's just kind of filling a gap. I think the lack of rain could be a slight question mark for Delta Work. I think he's had a brilliant prep. Ran well in the course, carrying about 50 stone on his penultimate run. Ran quite well in the Boyne as well. But Galvin, I mean, he's still rated 165 over fences. He absolutely destroyed One Wild Fred back in October. I think if the ground is good, we know that Gordon Elliott doesn't mind who he wins it with. He showed that last year. And if the rain doesn't go, look, he hacked up in a National Hunt Chase here on decent ground and did in October that year as well. So I do think that Galvin probably does actually have the better of Delta Work here.
He's fourth in last year's Gold Cup. It's not bad for him.
Yeah. And, this has been a plan for a long time. And, Galvin, he's going to enjoy the quick going. At the moment, there hasn't been much rain scheduled. Do I see today, Jack, you say there could be snow next week? Is it even money or something like that? There could be snow?
Yeah, Sky Bet are offering even money about a white Cheltenham, they're calling it. So who knows?
Even money? It's a hell of a short price, that, isn't it? Right, let's move on, shall we, to another race we don't need to spend too long on until we move on to the interval. But this is the 5:30 on the Wednesday. The final race is the Champion Bumper. This was won by Facile Vega last year. Grade 1 over the extended 2 miles. It's a Me 7-2. A Dream to Share 11-2. Fun is 7-1. Chapeau de Soleil 10-1. Better Days Ahead 12-1. Factor File 14s and Canto Bruno 16, 18-1. Bar these. Now, this is usually a good race to discuss future hurdling stars. Jack, the last race before the interval, but is there a horse here that you'd probably be more excited about going into next season?
Yeah, I'm probably excited for all of them next season. I hate bumpers. I think they're useless. But look, It's For Me was very impressive last
We love
time.
them. You don't have to jump anything.
Easy money.
Absolutely fantastic races.
Bit different to go around the railway fences, isn't it? Yeah. But look, I think Simon Muir has a good hand in this. Of course, It's For Me and Fun. It's For Me was very impressive, wasn't he? Last time out. A Dream to Share as well, getting the better of Factor File, and then JP McMahon has bought him. Factor File in his 2 runs has just got going really quite late on. I think at Cheltenham he could actually prefer it up the hill there, so I wouldn't be surprised if Factor File runs well. They've got Chapeau de Soleil, who was apparently the bumper good thing back in December, got beaten by Better Days Ahead. Look, it's not really a race for me. I wouldn't be surprised if Factor File outruns his odds at 12-1, but I'll just be sitting back and watching. Yeah,
Willie Mullins will throw plenty of darts at this for sure. No, I know when we initially spoke, I got your selections through, that it was Queen's Gamble for you, who has won at the course twice already for the Oliver Sherwood team. It'd be great to see this horse go and win. But last night you told me you were looking to change your selection. Is that because you were on a preview night with Mattie and he gave his selection?
No, Mattie's got nothing to do with this one. No, I'd only kind of glanced at possible entries when I picked this one out, but I've gone to John Gleeson, who rides A Dream to Share. He owes his father used to own it. He's a close friend of mine back in Ireland. John Kiley is a man I used to work for about 6 years before I came to England. Great bumper trainer. Wouldn't come over if they didn't have a live chance, and he told me to say the horse is flying. So that's why I'm going for A Dream to Share. At 9-2, I think he can go very well. He's by Muhurar. He's actually more like a flat horse than a jump horse, so actually might necessarily be a great horse in the future, but I think for a bumper, he's going to have the gears to burn him off.
Yeah, bought by JP McManus after that race there at the DRS, so that's fascinating. Mattie, you've mentioned already that bumpers, you don't have to jump a hurdle, which is ideal for a jockey, but are you a fan of bumpers in general? Do you think horses should just go straight over hurdles once they've been sort of bought, or do you think that bumpers are key for some horses?
They're definitely key. You remember a lot of these haven't run on the flat. They need that experience. Some of them are so green and wet behind the ears. You have to go out there onto the race course and teach them their job before they... Listen, I've known horses go from bumpers to go over fences and totally skip hurdles altogether. But you need a certain type of horse for that. You've got to teach them their job, and it's great routes to do it. The bumper, it's for me... Listen, it's won a point. It's won its only bumper. It was impressive. Do you know what? I don't think the Mullins team really know who their best one is yet, and we probably won't know until which Patrick chooses. I mean, he might go for It's For Me, but sometimes, apart from Vasil Vega, he has a lot of horses with bigger prices come in, run well. I do like A Dream to Share. I like the whole story about it, what Niall just said. It's had 3 runs. He's battle hardened. The filly, fun. She's done nothing wrong. But for me, just A Dream to Share has just got that little bit of experience. And listen, it's a massive thing going to Cheltenham. Second time out in the bumper. Sometimes they can go there and be a bit like rabbit in headlights. It's a totally different scenario. Even the walk down to the course is the amount of people that they see. It's all new to them. So yeah, I just think A Dream to Share. I like horses that have had 3 runs, battle hardened, and ready to go.
There you go. Okay, I'm going to stick with Queen's Gamble. Like I say, Niall actually did switch to A Dream to Share, but I mentioned for this horse here, this was, like I say, 2 from 2 at Cheltenham. Oliver Sherwood managed to catch up with him at Fontwell a couple of months back. He really loves this horse. I'd forgive that last run, I really would. 2 from 2 at Cheltenham is the key thing here. Horses for courses, and honestly, this horse, an each-way price, I don't know what the horse is currently, around 16 to 1. I think this horse could be far too big in this race. I'd give this horse an each-way squeak. It's all about the Irish looking at the market, but yeah, 16 to 1. It wouldn't be one of my big bets of the week, but I'd definitely be having an each-way play. Now,
you'd excuse any horse to run round Market Raisin if you've won twice round Cheltenham.
I think the horse was very keen as well.
It's very keen. It's a sharp old track. And probably just got done for a little bit of toe at the Market Raisin is a sharp track. It's different from Cheltenham. Yeah. She stayed on up the hill, so you'd forgive any horse to run around.
She'd get the allowance as well.
Yeah,
I think she's a fair price each way. Before we go to the interval, we move on to the final 2 days of the festival. We will get a quick question, and I'll tell you quickly about the raffle. But the question is, George, you can stay quiet for this one. What course did Editor de Gite win the Desert Orchid at?
Kempton. Have some socks.
Does anyone want to shout it? Kempton. Brad Neal, is someone at the back? Jenny right at the far back. Pass your socks all the way back. Do you want to get those all the way back?
I said Kempton.
They're in a packet.
Where's my pair of socks then?
No, you don't get any. You just turn up. Let's move on fast. This will probably be a quicker part of the preview. There's less races to get through. We will give our handicap fancies as well, and on naps at the end. So let's move on. Nice and hush at the back, please. The 1:30 on Thursday, it's the Turners Novices Chase, a grade 1 over 2.5 miles. Mighty Potter, the 6-4 favourite. Banbridge 4-1. Appreciate It is 5-1. Sir Gerhard is 8-1. Stage Star 14-1. El Fabiolo 16. Belco Coaster 16. 18 Bar. The nap of the week runs here, in my opinion. Mighty Potter will not be beaten. He's one of the best looking horses, apparently. I spoke to one of my Racing Post colleagues, David Jennings, and he said he's just gorgeous to look at. But some of the horses this horse has beaten include Gaillard de Menil, who was well fancied for the National Hunt Chase. Banbridge, who runs here, he's already beaten this horse, but I just think that Banbridge is just going to struggle against a horse of this type. And a beat horse called Mars Harper. Now, that Mars Harper is going to be interesting because I'll be talking about Mars Harper later on in the preview. Look, this horse, solid jumper, he travels. This horse to me could be, I think even Jamie Codd said it, this could be a Gold Cup hope for 2024. He is a right bet in here. I think 6-4 is still a fair price. Mattie, are we in agreement?
Yeah, it goes against the grain, but I am agreeing with you. He is my third leg of my treble. He will win.
What were the first two?
Constitutional, John Bond, £200 win treble. Job done. First year I'm allowed to bet.
First year, that's very true. Mattie Batchelor, now retired jockey. He's now opened up her account and admitted to having a £200 stake on that. Brilliant. What's the price on that on Constitutional John Bond Mighty Potter? Do you know what it was roughly?
Mind your own business.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, fine. I'll move on.
I ain't put it on yet. But that is my bet. That's my treble.
Okay, fine. Jack, it takes balls to take a horse on like this. Solid jumper, like I say, but you're probably going to be doing it, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. I don't think it's a massive race to get involved with from a betting perspective. I know he does look rock solid on paper.
He's going for Nube Negra.
Yeah, exactly. I did go for Nube Negra, so it does happen. I think he's the best long-term prospect, but it's hard to ignore the fact he was pulled up in his only start at Cheltenham. Yes, it was a novice. Obviously, it was in the Supreme, but he still has a little bit to prove, I think, at Cheltenham. He has an unbelievable stride on him. There was some analysis about his stride length. He has a humongous stride on him. Look, I think he is going to be a Gold Cup hope, but the one horse who he hasn't actually beaten yet is Appreciate It. And I know Appreciate It was down the field in the Irish Arkle, but I just think stepping up in trip. One thing that I do find really interesting is everyone at Willie Mullins' yard is always so bullish about Appreciate It. He's the big horse. Looking forward to see Honeysuckle take on the big horse, and everything is about him being the big horse and the big hope for them. And I still think he hasn't properly been able to show that. Of course, he had his setback last year. I think when he does step up to 2.5 miles, I think he does have a lot better chance. He tried to take on Dysart Dynamo and El Fabiolo out in front. If he was running a little bit more held up, I think he'd be much closer. I think he definitely would have finished ahead of Banbridge. I think he's definitely going to turn that form around. And I think he's probably the bet at the moment. What price is he? 9-2, 5-1 at the moment. So My Spotter's a very worthy favourite, but I think there's a question mark or two for me, so I'm going to be able to Appreciate It.
So we know that Appreciate It's just a big horse. Niall, a horse like Mighty Potter, travels, jumps well. This is the kind of horse you want to be sitting on at Cheltenham, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Look, he's the pick of the paddock. He should be favoured. He got every chance to be favoured. He should win the race. But 11-8, don't like backing that short. I'd go for a little risk and go 12-1 Journey at Me each way. I'm pretty sure I tipped up last year as well.
I did for the Ballymore and took
For
a
the
really
Ballymore.
nasty tumble, didn't he?
He
at the
did,
last?
and in fairness to him, took a nasty tumble. He's come back, had a tumble over fences, but he's come into form at the right time, right part of the season at 12-1. You can just have an each bet in him.
Journey of Me each way. Yeah, look, another he could be a right chance each way here. It's all to play for him behind, I think. But yeah, Mighty Potter, one of the bankers of the week, in my opinion, along with Mattie's. Let's go on to the Ryanair. Now, this will be interesting to talk about. The 250. It's the Grade 1 over 2.5 miles, and Shishkin is 5-6 in here. Blue Lord 11-2, Fury Road 8-1, Janadil 8-1, Envy Lens 12-1, Fakir Duderi 16-1, and Conflated 16-1, along with 18-1 bar these. Now, if you had told me after the Tingle Creek run that Shishkin would end up being 5-6 for a Ryanair, I probably would have laughed at you. Nicky said after the Tingle Creek that they step this horse up in trip, they go for the Ascot Chase. I did message you before, Jack. I know this is probably a bit of after time, but I haven't backed this horse. But I did say, in hindsight, he was probably a good bet at 4-1 non-runner, no bet before that Ascot Chase. Because if he were to be beaten, he probably wouldn't have ended up here. But if he won, I keep saying if, but I mean, at the end of the day, at non-runner, no bet, that was probably not a bad bet at 4-1 in hindsight, was it really?
In hindsight, Constitution Hill at 2-1 for this year's champion hurdle was a good bet. Do you know what I mean? But the thing with Shishkin is, what beats him? Just you got Fury Road next in the market. Conflated's not going here. Envoy Allen's quite interesting, dropping back in trip. Blue Lord's in there as well. Fakir Duderi got completely shown up at Ascot last time out. Janadil's perhaps the one that could grab second. But I think at 80% Shishkin that we saw in the Ascot Chase absolutely hacks up here. I just don't really see anything to beat Shishkin if we see the Shishkin that we saw at Ascot. Of course, that's a humongous if, but even if we see an 80% Shishkin, I just don't see what's going to beat him.
Yeah. No, I was looking through this race, trying to see if there's anything to take him on with, and there just really isn't, is there?
Take him on. I'd take him on nearly.
What is it about him that you'd like to take on?
I just don't see I just think 4-6 is way too short. I would not be going near him at 4-6. You're just risking too much. Like, the horse had his issues. I know he came back and he done everything properly and correct last in Ascot, but it looks a very bad Ryanair, personally.
Okay. Is anyone really confident to take this horse on in the audience? That'd be interesting. Is anyone, and if so, is any names that want to be thrown out?
I personally think Marty Potter should go for that, and I think he'd win it as a novice.
Wow. Well, that's
Not
a
bad
bit cool.
shout.
It's not a horrendous shout, to be fair, really.
That was Mighty Potter going for this, and not as a novice, is what was said, just for people watching.
Yeah, of course, yeah. People at home can't see on the YouTube channel. Mattie, one thing that Paul Keeley said on one of the Racing Post shows, plugging as much of the Racing Post as possible, he said that this horse here should be as short as Constitution Hill. He's almost that much of a banker. Are you in agreement? Could he be a fourth leg to your you could change your treble to a fourfold now?
No, he is the first leg of my second treble. And he will win. That's it. Job done.
Could you find anything that could potentially run behind him? Anything without or?
No, after that performance at Ascot, it was breathtaking. The step up in trip, he travelled, and as Nico said, he said as soon as I jumped off, I knew what Shishkin was turning up. He travelled, he jumped, and yeah, it was absolutely effortless for him. And I honestly think he's proven around the track, and this trip is just gonna. I think he's improved from stepping up in trip. So, I mean, yeah, one day you could, probably next year, you might see him in a Gold Cup, and he probably will stay because Nico says he just switches off, he settles. But this year, for me, he's the winner of the Ryanair.
Yeah, I think what was interesting is the fact that Nicky is keen to step this horse up even further, and he said that if the horse comes out of Cheltenham fine, we've obviously got a bit of a longer gap to the Grand National Festival at Aintree. We'll probably go for the Aintree Bowl, which is probably the logical step rather than going to, it's the Melling, isn't it, over 2.5?
That's it, yeah. Obviously, Aintree's a sharper, flat track, and the Bowl is the next.
The Bowl could be the next.
Bowl's the next step,
absolutely. The one horse up there, Niall, that I put on the screen is Envoy Lane each way, and I actually see the angle with this. I don't think this is the worst.
No, it's not.
Each way in the world.
They went from 2 miles straight to 3 miles. I know we had a running down right, I think, in 2021 over 2-4, dotted up. And I was thinking 10-1, even though he's won over 3 miles this year as well, and good enough ground down right at the time it was. He's definitely an each way shout. But I just can't see Shishkin. Like last time we went there this time last year, he was 5-6 on favourite. And he pulled up. He had a very tough day for the horse. And I just think, I just can't trust him at that price going there off the back. I know, horses remember. He'll go there and he'll remember the last time I was here. I had a very bad day, and I was testing at 4-6 would put my money on it.
Okay, so Niall taking on Shishkin, dangerous.
With nothing.
Well, no, of course, yeah, with absolutely nothing. But yeah, I think Shishkin is potentially up there, one of the shorties that should be going in. Let's move on to a really open-looking race. This is one that I'm really looking forward to. It's the 3:30 on Thursday. It's the Paddy Power Stayers Hurdle, Grade 1 over 3 miles. And Blazing Cow is your 3-1 favourite. Tiapu is 9-2. Marie's Rock is 5-1. Home by the Lee 13-2. Flooring Porter, 2-ton winner, 7-1. Gold Tweet, the French horse, is really interesting here, 10-1. Classical Dream, 14-1 and 16-1. Bar these. Now this is a really open-looking race, and I think this has had the most discussions kind of around the festival. Who's going here? What's going to happen? How are they going to turn up? And I think today the most fascinating thing was that Gold Tweet, the French horse, is definitely going to be going for this race. I mean, we all expect it anyway. I think there's 2 French horses in the race, actually. A horse that actually beat Gold Tweets in here at a big price of 33-1. Jack, I know you yourself and Mattie agree on this one, but you actually give the French horse a chance, don't you?
Yeah, I feel like we see it time and time again. The international raider just gets overlooked. I mean, it happened when Gold Tweet, I kicked myself when he won the Cleve Hurdle last time out. The race did turn into somewhat of a sprint. He still has a little bit of question marks. I think staying going a proper gallop over 3 miles. But look, he can handle soft ground. He was travelling absolutely beautifully in the Cleve Hurdle. I know even Paisley Park was on the bit coming around the home turn. But look, I do think he's a little bit overlooked. It's a very interesting contest. You've got Tehupu. You've got the question marks about the ground. If it doesn't rain, I think Tehupu is very classy, though. Blazing Charles Burns is a very shrewd operator, isn't he? He won the Boyne Hurdle so easily last time out. And look, he could have bundles in hand over the lot of these. Marie's Rock, if she comes here, is another you have to look at. She'll definitely stay 3 miles. I don't think they should send her here, though, personally. Flooring Porter, of course, had his problems this year. Home by the Lee's an interesting one. He's done absolutely nothing wrong this year, yet he's still 6-1. He's just not very aesthetically pleasing on paper, like a Blazing Carl or Tiupu is to look at with their connections. But no, looking at Gold Tweet, he travelled delightfully last time out. He's still relatively unexposed this side of the channel, and I think about 10-1, 14-1. I think he's an all right each way angle.
Has that been supplemented yet?
Yeah, it got today.
They've done
It was
it.
today, wasn't it?
They've done it today,
Officially,
yeah.
officially. So
Yeah.
the French horse does run in here. It was quite amusing, wasn't it? We won the Cleve Hurdle. The jockey couldn't speak a word of English, so ITV went to go and interview
No,
him.
you could. I had a chat with him in the waiting room. Just didn't want to.
Mattie, agree with exactly what Jack's just said?
Yeah, Tiupu fan, yeah. And do you know what? I'd love to see... Let's not forget the old boy Paisley Park's been placed in the last 2 stayers hurdlers. Love's coming up the hill. And home... Listen, there's loads of it you can give chances. Home by the Lee's done nothing wrong. Maria's Rock won't won. Blazing Cow was impressive. I would worry a bit. He's beat Summer Hill Boy, who's 11-year-old, and he's beat Classical Dream, who's a 9-year-old. So just worry about that. He has been impressive, but Tiupu for me.
Okay, Tiupu. I mean, you did give me Gold Tweet as well each way.
Each way, yeah. Each way for the French horse,
that's what about. The one horse you mentioned there, and do you know what? It's a massive shame he's not here tonight. Big supporter of the club is Richard Bird, right? Now, he intended to be here tonight, and he was flying all the way from Amsterdam specifically for this preview night with his girlfriend. He has got home. He said that he's a bit too tired to turn up, but he is a huge fan of Paisley Park.
Hold on.
Oh, here we go.
Hold on a minute.
No,
No, hold on. Hold on.
Don't say anything stupid, Mattie.
So this fella's took his girlfriend to Amsterdam. That is a fundamental error, isn't it?
I'm sure he's going to really enjoy watching this video now. But Paisley Park, right, a 16-1. I think this is one of the stories of the week. Now, I think it's an each-way bet. I'm not sure he's good enough to win it. But the one thing I would say about the Cleve Hurdle is it was run very slowly. And this was not suited to Paisley Park. The Stayers Hurdle will be run at a fast pace. That is almost a certainty that that's going to happen. And I can see him typically doing what he does on that camera as they swing around the bend, the side on, is his nose is just diving in, slowly staying on. And I have this feeling that he's going to go very close. He's just done nothing wrong this season. He came close to champ. He beat, another mention in the second part for Goshen.
No.
He beat Goshen and champ in the...
Do you think it's a certainty they go off at a good clip here? Because Flooring Porter, when he won it last year, he set the fractions perfectly to suit himself.
I don't think... Listen to Gavin Cromwell. I don't think Gavin Cromwell was that confident that this horse is where he needs to be.
Then what makes the running?
Oh,
Batchelor Thrasher.
yes.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the one.
And
But then
even, look, he's not that quick. But what he will do is he'll always be going forward and
a lot-
forcing wherever
But
it's
then if
forward
we see
on.
it like we did in the Cleve Hurdle when you set those slow fractions, I just don't know if there's definitely a lot of pace on here.
Yeah, I know what you're saying about he's not definite at pace. He's not using quick, but wherever he's trying to settle up in front, he's just going to take on and take on and take on and beat
Yeah,
Dower.
I completely agree. I just think potentially Paisley Park is an each way bet in here. In terms of a win angle, I'd say Home by the Lee. He's a lot of people have underestimated this horse, and he keeps proving things for Joseph O'Brien. 13-2 might not be the worst bet in the world. Niall, who would you like to sit on in this?
I'd like to sit in Tiupu. Probably said wrong, but young horse in the race, younger legs. It's a very open race, and he's just the one that could be improving, whereas the rest of them are pretty much at the stage right they're at their mark there. So I think he's the horse to improve in the race, and it's like to be sit on him really.
There we go. I'll tell you what, Gold Sweet each way. I can see the angle. I really can, this French angle.
But is each way what price he though?
What are we looking at? So I can go back if I
It's
want.
14-1 best price?
No, 10-1.
Tens.
That may have actually changed. These prices are correct as well, but now been supplemented. That might have shortened. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Moving on to a race that, again, we probably don't want to spend too much time on. It's not one of my favourite races of the festival. The 450 on the Thursdays. The Ryanair Mares Novices Hurdle. Grade 2 over 2 mile, 1 furlong. Lucia 7-4 favourite. Ashrow Diamond 7-2. Night and Day 7-1. Lot of Joy 8-1. Halka du Talbot is 11-1. You Wear It Well 11-1. Magical Zoe 12-1. 14-1. Bar these. This Lucia, Mattie, this is the second leg of your next treble, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yeah, she was very impressive at Exeter jumped well, and it would not surprise me if she turns up in next year's champion hurdle. I think she's that good. I was watching Racing UK the other day, and they've done a stable tour, and she just looks an absolute powerhouse. She's a lovely chestnut mare, full of power. She's got all women don't want a massive back end, but she's got a massive back end, and it is gorgeous. I mean, she is a powerhouse. She's my second leg of my treble.
Okay. I mean, you mentioned there that this horse could go to the champion hurdle next year, and I've already mentioned about the Supreme for this horse. If this horse turned up in a Supreme, and Niall mentioned it as well, this horse would have a massive chart. If Constitution Hill was to stay over hurdles, we don't know this for definite, but if he was, would Lucia then be the one potentially for the mares, or do you think they'd still probably just go for the champion?
I think that Constitution Hill will, after winning the champion hurdle, I think you just look at the size of him. He has to go over fences. But if you look at Nicky Henderson, that's what he does. He splits up his horses very well. John Bond, Constitution Hill, and he puts them in the right races. And if that one needs to stay over hurdles this year, he progresses them well. So he tries not to. I mean, he didn't want to run Constitution Hill in the fighting fifth because Epperton would have won it. So he couldn't run it because obviously Ascot was a no-go. So he does everything to avoid taking on his own good horses. So to me, that is the natural progression.
Okay, we'll have to wait and see. Noel, anything at the price do you think could run a big race?
A big price, things that Magical Zoe 10-1, 3 from 3, nice type, improving the whole time. Like Henry's horses haven't been in great red hot form all through the season, but I can guarantee the man's going to have him spot on for Cheltenham. What I also will say is that if Cham Kiley goes and dots up in the Ballymore, I would try to change my mind and lump it on Astro Diamond, given the form there. The
form, yeah, absolutely. Jack, I think you've also got an each way angle in the race. Would you be with Lucia, or is you just?
Yeah, I've gone back and forth with this. I thought Lucia was an absolute banker, and then I thought you had to take her on. Then I thought she was a banker again, and now I'm probably of the thought you have to take her on. Just quickly, it'd be great to see Henry de Bromhead with this. If Magical Zoe did, of course, rename the Jack de Bromhead Mares Novices Hurdle, that would be great to see Magical Zoe go and do it. But look, Nicky Henderson got Epperton turned over in this. He's 0 from 9 in the race. And let's not forget, it's an Ireland, it's Irish's race. Willie Mullins just wins this race.
I'll tell you what, ask the man sat right there, Gary Young. He's still living off the fact Concertista won it a few years back, and he tipped it up to everyone on the bus on the way to Cheltenham, didn't you, Gary? Are you going to be with Willie in this year?
No, biggest winning margin was Concertista, and Lucia will do the same.
Oh, there you go.
Lucia will do the same.
So Lucia will do a Concertista.
And that's the saying, lightning never strikes twice.
There we go.
She could well go and do it, but look, you're a brave man to be taking on Willie Mullins in a mare's novice race. I think Lot of Joy is very interesting. Was second to I Know the Way You're Thinking when travelling like the winner on hurdling debut. Was then second to Deep Cave, got the better of Firm Footings. Didn't quite stay 2.5. I quite like something with form over 2.5, then dropping back to this. It can sometimes turn into a little bit of a staying contest. They get a little bit worked up and lit up out front, and it could be a little bit of a staying contest. You look at Love Envoy winning it last year. She's an out-and-out stayer, I think, over 2 miles, perhaps 2.5 as well. So Lot of Joy, I think, is quite interesting. But look, Lucia could be a good thing in this, but I just think you have to take her on, personally.
Okay, I agree with Mattie. I think Lucia will win this. I agree that she could be really lively next season in a champion hurdle or a mare's hurdle. I think she's top class. So she did give punters a fright the last day at the last hurdle, but I do think that she has all the ability and all the speed. Let's move on then. Oh, actually, before we move on to Friday, let's give away another pair of socks. And I also want to give away something that's only just come out. Am I right in saying today, Charlie? Today is the Racing Post Cheltenham Ultimate Guide. This will cost you usually £5, right? I'll give this away with a pair of socks. No, you can't say that. Appreciate it pair of socks with the Cheltenham Ultimate Guide. You get all the best tips from some of the Racing Post tipsters in here. The question,
great plug.
Oh, I'm loving a plug tonight, especially your TikTok page. You're doing well with that, aren't you? How many times has Shishkin won at the Cheltenham Festival? And a bonus point if you can name the can you? Okay, who said 2? 2 at the back. Go. What are the 2 races? What are the two races? Go on and take it. There you go, yeah.
Yeah, your man there. He's wearing socks, guys. It's rigged.
Stewards' inquiry. No, just get the socks.
have a scarf for that because he got.
I know you can't give him that.
He's having a scarf for that. That's shocking.
I'll get in trouble for that. Right, let's move on then to the Triumph hurdle. I've got to give that back.
Oh, he's got to give that back.
Give us a scarf. That's possession of the Racing Post. There, I've got to bring that back tomorrow.
I'll get you a point.
I'll get him the point.
Yeah, Sam will get you a point.
On to the Friday then. The JCB Triumph Hurdle, Grade 1 over 2 mile and 1 furlongs. This year threw up a thriller, didn't it, between Vauban, Pied Piper and Phil Dorr. Lossymouth is a 7-4 favourite here. Blood Destiny 5-2. Gala Massot is 5-1. Willie Mullins just dominating the market. Comfort Zone 12-1. Bo Zenith is 20-1. Zenta 25-1. Takal 33-1. And 40-1 bar these. Before I just quickly discuss Bo Zenith non-runner. Is that right? Not going to run, most likely?
Not sure.
Not sure, right? You probably can't say anything, but I probably think that will also be heading to entry. But
I'm saying on honour of it, then runs.
Well, what I will say though, with regards to this race, is that Bo Zenith did beat Blood Destiny over in France. I do like Lossymouth in here, Niall, but if you can tell me that Bo Zenith is right top class and could be on the level of a Blood Destiny, I might even just switch to Blood Destiny. I know the exchanges have been flip-flopping the two over the last few days, but is Blood Destiny, with regards to the form with Bo Zenith over in France, it's very difficult to say, but is this the one to be with?
I'm with Blood Destiny. On the basis of that form, I think Bo Zenith off first day went a bit wrong, but he done very well to win up in Haynock the last day on good soft ground. He's not a flashy horse, and that's what I like about him. He's one of those, he's improved at time, and like, even though it's hard to explain the type of horse he is, he's laid back, he's professional, he jumps well, but he's not your like blow your mind, not gonna like win by 10. He just does enough. Sandown it wasn't right. Just you can rule that one out.
What was that? What was Sandown? What was the reason? Was there
just it was soft ground. It was dead. It was tacky. Just wasn't right for him. It wasn't at the time. Just probably that's for a young horse for his first run in England. Just wrong place to go. I thought not I thought, but just turned out to be the wrong place. But he is a better horse. He's a nice horse, and he will be definitely a nice horse. One
to look forward to, especially if he were to head to Aintree potentially. But
yeah.
Is Blood Destiny? I mean, it's going to be interesting to see who Paul Townend rides here. We've got no idea what he's going to pick. He's probably not going to pick Gala Massot, is he? But Blood Destiny or Lossymouth. Mattie, you're nodding your head like this could be the next leg of the final leg of the treble.
Of course it is. We know what Paul Townend's riding.
Do you Lossymouth?
Lossymouth. It's an absolute good thing.
I mean, what would tell people listening is that Lossymouth the last day went off a very short price favourite and actually got hampered by the owner's other horse. That's right.
Yeah, the other horse was in front, and there was a concertina effect. He missed one in front, and he's got pushed further back than he would like. He's had to go absolutely round the houses. Okay, Willie's come out and said Paul's probably give her a harder race than he should have done. But listen, when you're out there as a jockey and you're on an odds-on favourite, you're sitting there minding your business, travelling away, and all of a sudden it all goes wrong. And it doesn't matter who you are, Ruby Walsh, Paul Townend, that little second of panic sets in, because at the end of the day you're on an odds-on favourite. So he's pulled her out. She's shown a huge turn of foot to get where she did. She shows that she's still got an engine, and even jumping the last, it looked like she still possibly would win, and she's had to use up a lot of energy getting there. So for me, you just rule out Ireland and look at her past form, and Paul Townend rides Lossymouth. I don't think there's any...
She gets £7, we've got to remember
exactly.
that.
There's, in my mind, there's no question what he's going to ride.
Okay.
And yes, it is the third leg of...
Third leg of that treble, there we go. Note that down. So Mattie's got 3 trebles. Rio, if you want your £25 bet that we've given you during the raffle on either of Mattie's trebles...
Or the 6-fold, go for it.
You could have the 6-fold for 25 quid. Okay, fine. So Niall, you're Blood Destiny, aren't you? You found that. And Jack, is this a match bet, as simple as that, between the top two in the market?
Yeah, I can't believe Lossymouth's on the drift. I think she hacks up here.
What's she gone out to on the exchange?
She's now joint favourite, about 15-8 with bookmakers. I just think, as Mattie said there, look, she landed on the hind legs of Joie de Fête, and everything just went wrong, and she still finished within 2 lengths of Galamarceau, who's a very good filly in her own right. Look, they pulled miles clear of third. She's got the better of Takal, Comfort Zone, Common Practice, Risk Bell previously. And I just think with that £7, Blood Destiny's got to be a really, 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 really good juvenile. He's a very good juvenile. But I think I completely agree with Mattie. When Paul Townend gets jocked up on Lossiemouth, the money's going to come back in. I think she'll be sent off 5-4. I think the punting public will be very forgiving. And I think she's going to win this and win it quite comfortably.
Okay, there we go. So, yeah, Lossiemouth for majority of the panel. Niall with Blood Destiny. It's going to be a really interesting race. And like Jack says, the market will change when Paul Townend makes that decision for sure. Moving on to probably one of the open novice races of the festival. The 250 on the Friday is the Albert Bartlett Novices Hurdle, a grade 1 over 3 miles, and Corbett's Cross is now your 5-1 favourite. These prices were correct as of this morning. This horse has had plenty of money come for it. It's now around 4-1, I think Jack said to me earlier. Embassy Gardens 11-2, Hidden Valley Lake 8-1, Free Card Bragg is 8-1, Favre de Chambeau 10-1, Monty Star 10-1, Sandor Clegane is 10-1, and 12-1 bar these. This has slowly become one of the well-priced good bets of the week, I think, Corbett's Cross. Now, this horse has had 1 run at Naas for this trainer. This was over 2 miles, but this is Emmett Mullins, and these are in the colours of Paul Byrne. They love a lightly raced horse. Send it to the festival. This could go off, Jack, shorter than 4-1 for sure as soon as it turns up, if it turns up.
Yeah, not many the festival get me giddy, but Corbett's Cross does get me giddy. I think 7-2, 4-1 is a completely wrong price. He's going to go off 2-1 on the day. Max, if he does go, there's still a question mark whether he does go. But look, he dropped back to 2 miles last time out, and I cannot speak highly enough of that performance. That race looked absolutely perfect for Founder 50. Front runner, jumps well. Corbett's Cross has just sat just off Founder 50, jumped perfectly over 2 miles, and managed to beat him on the run-in. And I think if you put any of those runners in the Albert Barl in that race over 2 miles, I don't think any of them finished within 5 lengths of Founder 50 that day. Look, he stays 3 miles. I think he's a great jumper. If it turns into a speed contest, he shows he has the speed over 2 miles. If it turns into a staying contest, he showed he could do it at Fairy House on soft ground when he won with plenty in hand in a handicap off 130. I think he's got so much in hand of the rest of them. Embassy Gardens won pretty much a workout last time out, and I just think Corbett's Cross is actually £5-10 well in here. I think he's going to go off 2-1 and he's going to win this by 5 lengths plus.
There you go, Emmett Mullins, the trainer of the 2022 Grand National winner. Niall, like I say, this is a very open-looking novice hurdle. Corbett's Cross has, thrown his hat right into the ring here, but would you be one at a bigger price? I mean, there are plenty of big prices that you could throw a hat into the ring with.
There's plenty of big prices, but I do think Corbett's Cross is currently too big a price. Emmett's the first cousin of mine, family.
First cousin?
Yeah, he's in the first dam he is.
Oh, right, there we go.
But, and actually, he's come from Eugene O'Sullivan's, and he goes out with Maxine O'Sullivan. So there's definitely, he obviously knew he was a good horse coming here in time, and Paul Byrne obviously
is Paul Byrne. And the thing is, I watched this race in Naas, nice in the weighing room somewhere last weekend, and I was just really taken about how slick he was. Like, he's running 3 points, he's running over 2.5 for Eugene, and they drop him back to 2 miles around Naas, and it's just every hurdle comes up, floats over him. So when he can do that over 3 miles in Cheltenham, he's by gamut to get better at age, and I just think, yeah, at 7-2, he's my bet. And you haven't spoken to your family members, and they've said he's definitely going to go, or?
No,
we don't know yet. But
if
this horse, if non-run no bets available, this horse is too big a price because it will shorten if definitely going for this race. Mattie, for yourself?
Yeah, I say Corbett's Cross, for a horse to win over 3 mile, drop back to 2, the range, for a horse to do that is impressive first and foremost. 2 mile speed test and win a stand test. But I've gone for a little bit of value, and I've gone for Hidden Valley Lake. Just beaten by a stablemate last time out, Monty Star, and it was a very, very slow run race. So I wouldn't be surprised if Rachel bounces out, sends him on, and makes it a true test. I just think he's a good each way price. I can't see him being Corbett's Cross, But at the price, Hidden Valley Lake just gives me a bit of value.
Okay, there we go. Hidden Valley Lake for Mattie. But Corbett's Cross, yeah, like this horse could be one of the good things of the week at a fair price of around 7-2. We've got 2 races left before we get the handicap fancies and the naps of the week, the best bets for the week. And this race is, in my opinion, one of the worst races of the week. It's the 450. It's the Mrs. Paddy Power Mares Chase, a grade 2 over 2.5 miles. Allegory Devassi is 13-8. Impervious 2-1. Jeremy's Flame 5-1. Magic Days 10-1. Galliard de Lateau 14. Dolcito and Riviera del Tel at 20-1 and 25-1. Bar these. I'll keep it short and sweet. I hate this race, but I actually think I get more enjoyment out of the St James's Place Hunters Chase than this race. And I think Allegory Devassi will just win, but it's not one that I'll be betting on big at all.
I'm going to take her on with Impervious because I just think she's tiny, she's tenacious, and God does she jump. And I think she jumps better than Allegory Devassi. And for that reason, I'm taking her on.
Yeah, Allegory Devassi's jumping will need to improve. Got almost unseated Paul Town end.
She looks awesome. I hate calling her. Years ago, Jimmy Mack, an old jockey, I used to do schooling with him, and I was every time I schooled a horse and I thought it jumped well, I called it brilliant. And Jimmy Mack said to me one day, he said, don't ever say a horse is brilliant unless they're absolutely awesome. And watching her, she does look the real deal, and she does look brilliant. And I don't use that word very often for a horse's jumping.
So why is that not in your treble? Or come on.
She's in my 3rd treble.
we've only got 2 races left. Jack, is this a match bet between the top 2 in the market?
Yeah, 100%. Sorry, that was a bit loud.
That was a bit
loud. Sorry to scare you there.
Shocked me.
I think you'll know by the first 4 fences if Allegory Devassi is going to win. I think she really took Paul Townend by surprise last time out when she won. But I think she does just have a massive engine. Look, she's not the best jumper, but she was definitely learning on the job last time out of Thurles, and she's still absolutely hacked up. I think if she makes it round, I can't really see her not winning this. Impervious, yes, beat the boys last time out. She did a very good job. She's a big battler. I think if she gets into a battle with Allegory Devassi, I think she's probably going to come out on top. But I do think Allegory Devassi just has too much class. She looks so classy. If I'm being honest, I'll chuck into the treble ring and have a Friday treble of Lossiemouth, Allegory Devassi and Corbett's Cross. I think that's the Friday treble for me, because I think Allegory Devassi is too classy for Impervious. I think she's going to show this here before going on to bigger things next year.
Yeah, no, it's all about the Irish here, as most of the races seem to be going forward. But I would give Galliard de Lateau a little bit of a squeak if the ground were to come up soft. I know Skelton's quite keen on this horse, but for you, it's with the Irish?
Yeah, no, because the Mayor's series and system over in England just isn't really quite tailored to him. Don't have many Mayor's chases over here, whereas in Ireland, even though I still see him take on the geldings, there's a lot more of a mare's scene, a lot of mare's races over because of the breeding over there. So that's why generally the Irish take on the mare's novice hurdle, and the mare's novice chase. But like, I haven't looked in too much into the race. They all look quite but I have seen that Magic Days win the last day, and she really took me. She jumped really well and she made all. I just think 2-4 around Cheltenham. If you want to take a bit of a gamble at 10-1, you could just do it from the front. Okay. It's a front runner strat 2 mile 4, of course.
Okay, Magic Days for Niall, but yeah, a fair bit of love from myself and Jack for Allegory Devassi. Needs to jump on, brush up on that jump in. And Mattie gave me selection quite late, so he's not up there, but he likes Impervious.
Hold on, I didn't.
Do you know how hard I have to work to put these in?
You are so full of crap. I gave you my selection so late. You rang me up yesterday. I gave you all my selections.
He rang
me about an hour later he texted me, he said, what do you fancy for the mares? I said, it's the crappiest race on the card, don't give them monkeys. And he forgot to ask me, that's how much he thinks of the race. So don't go passing the buck saying, I give you my selection late.
Okay. Apologies.
To be fair, it doesn't make any difference because Impervious isn't going to win. So
no, not going to win. And do you know what didn't help is that you didn't actually send me the market for this race, so I didn't think we were previewing it. So I had to do that one separately. So
sorry.
All right, lads.
We'll pass the blame on him.
Yeah, come on. Go on to the Gold Cup.
We'll give him the Gold Cup market, shall we? The Gold Cup market is the final race we're going to be previewing before our handicap fancies and unfancies across the week. The 3:30, this is the feature of the week. It's 3.25 miles. Galloping de Champ is a 7-4 favourite. Brave Man's Game, 15-2. Applutard, 8-1. Noble Yates, the Grand National winner, is 8-1. Statler, 9-1. Shishkin is 11-1. Not going here. Conflated is 12-1. And 14-1 bar these. Galloping de Champ, how good is this horse? People question whether he could stay. He proved he could stay easily over in Ireland. Is he the worthy favourite, Jack?
Yeah, 100%. Look, I've been really impressed with how he's less exuberant early doors in his races this year. He's not as keen. He settles a lot better. He's definitely going to stay, that's for sure. You have to be taken with the way he was staying on at Leopardstown last time out. Is he short enough? Yeah, he is short enough. He still has a little bit to prove, I think. I think the first 2 or 3 fences in the Gold Cup, when they go like the absolute clappers, will be interesting to see how he gets on there. Look, he could be an absolute superstar. He could tear the race apart. But we've seen it time and time again. These hot spots have been beaten. A Gold Cup's not easy to win. But if there is one who's going to win it quite comfortably, it is him. Brave Man Game is interesting enough. I think he's probably short enough now at 13-2 after winning the King George. I've probably taken... I'm going to take 2 each way here. Applutard's the first one. Look, if you told me he was going to be 8-1 after last year's Gold Cup, I would have thought you were joking. Yes, the Betfair chase was almost too bad to be true. But I thought he jumped okay, he settled okay, literally just clattered through 2 fences, and Rachel thought, okay, he's not travelling, I've had enough now. Had his setbacks, but I don't think Henry's going to send him here unless he's A1. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Applutard bounce back and run a big race. And also, Ahoy Senor, time and time again, gets written off time and time again. He showed in the Cotswold chase, he's an absolute battler. He stays, I know that was over a different course, but look, he stays, he loves spring ground, he's so quirky, he wants to go left-handed but jumps right and doesn't really like going right-handed. He's absolutely mental, but look, he's going to be on the periphery, and I think if he does get his own way, I think, goodness me, I'm going to be closing my eyes for the first 2 fences in the Gold Cup, because he's probably going to try and go from the front, and bless Derek Fox in the saddle there, who knows what he's going to do. But look, Ahoy Senor, he keeps getting overlooked, he's still 14-1, he got the better of Protectorat and Noble Yates last time out, and hopefully he can run another good race.
Yeah, Ahoy Senor, Jack and I do an ante-post series throughout the season, 4 episodes, and Jack put Ahoy Senor up at 40-1 for the race, which is looking like one of his better bets for the ante-post series. Noble Yates, probably discuss him. We've already mentioned that he was last year's Grand National winner. I could see him running on for a place, Mattie.
Yeah, possibly running for a place. I mean, Galloping de Champs, he does look the real deal. He switched off in Ireland, lovely. Looked like Paul couldn't pull him up at the end, so look at what you will, it does look like he stays. But I just think the value for money, because he finished second to him at Leopardstown, is Statler, and he was staying on. He would never have caught him at Leopardstown. Let's get that first and foremost. 2 furlongs extra, and I just think at 9-1, I just think if Galloping de Champs 7-4, he's got to finish up his backside again. So I think it's a great each way price at 9-1.
Okay, Statler for me. Right, I like a Grand National winner in here, and it's the American Grand National winner in Hewick. Shark Hanlon trains this horse. I'm going to pull up a quick video here. He actually won the American Grand National, came back to Ireland. Some of you may have seen this on social media, but the actual trainer decided, if it plays, to take the horse to the pub and turned up in an Irish pub. Plenty of people in there, and actually had a lovely pint of Guinness.
Wait, is that not normal over here?
Does that happen down at Gary's a lot? That
not in Gary's, but back in Ireland it happens all the time.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Horses turn over pubs, but I do really, really like this horse. Probably would have won the Kerry National before tumbling. Won the Bet365 Gold Cup. They've kept this horse away since that American Grand National run, and they know they've been talking about the ground all the time, but they just want this horse to be running on quick going. And if it does come up as quick as what it could potentially, 25-1, Shark Hanlon, you just know is going to have this horse ready for this race. I think it's far too big a price each way, and it'd be some story. I can't imagine the celebrations from the Shark if this were to go and win. Don't know how many pints of Guinness this horse will be having after that.
There'll be a shark attack.
I'll tell you, there will be a shark attack. Yeah, but I'll take Hewick. I think he's a decent bet. Niall, yourself?
I do agree. Hugh, look, he is the story of the meeting. If he won the Gold Cup now, it'd be to be all and end all. Like, Shark would be missing for 2 weeks. The horse wouldn't get back to Ireland. Who's taking the horse to Ireland? But sad. I just think, look, it's a great story, but that's just a story, and he has to go and prove it in top grade, open grade company. I think Galvin Shams, like, he's a different sort of machine. Like, he's a monster, like, and he's going to take all the beating. Brave Man's Game 12 months ago didn't like Cheltenham. Currently now he's Paul Nicholls' next best shot at Cheltenham since Coto Star. He's done nothing wrong this season, and he will put it up to Galvin Shams. From the rest, from like a Plutard, a lot of ifs and buts coming in there. I wouldn't like to see a horse off the back of a bad pull up in a Haydock. Noble Yates, I want to see headgear on him. If he doesn't run with cheek pieces, I wouldn't be back in fair place. If he comes in,
I think they have said they're going to put the cheek pieces back on.
Yeah, they said that.
Good, yeah.
We have clarified. They meant Mullins though. But and yeah, after that you've got a lot of very good horses. You have a 15-8. I couldn't pin my heart on either Galloping Shams or Brave Man's Game at 13-2 when, as I said 12 months ago, Punk said he wasn't a horse Cheltenham. So I've just gone. I thought it was like 33-1, but he's 20-1 now. I'm let Indo each way.
Just as you said with Shishkin after last year in the champion chase, when they turn up, they still remember it. Do you think Galopin de Champ's going to remember his fall last year?
Yeah.
And do you think that's going to be?
It is. Horses do remember that. If I can tell you now, if I ride a horse tomorrow morning that fell last time out, and I go down to hurdle, he's not going down to hurdle the same confidence or the same jest as the horse he was 2 days beforehand. They're not machines. They're animals. They do remember stuff, like. And that's why I say, like, if a horse, like, horses can, like if they get a nick or a cut or a bad experience, they'll know where they are the next day. They'll sweat up. If you see Shishkin sweating up at start in Cheltenham, you know it's probably going to be game over for you.
There we go, Gold Cup fancies, and that'll be the final race that we preview out of the main races. We are going to give our handicap fancies before going on to the nap. We'll be nice and quick with these. One of them is going to be a Gary Moore horse, and Niall's going to try and put me off this potentially, but I think Nassalam in the Ultima on the opening day, this horse is very classy. I think he's going to land a big handicap one day. New Year's Day, this horse ran an absolute cracker in an ultra-competitive handicap at Cheltenham, finishing third. He finished with a right flourish that day. The fourth that day was Il Rodotto. That horse has since come out and won. Ran a good race in the November meeting behind Garlaw. That horse has been touted for a Gold Cup. I just think he's well handicapped now. I mean, I'd probably, you've said at the start of the show to me, but you'd like to see the ground a little bit softer.
Yeah.
But he's a right chance, isn't he?
He has got a nice chance if they're soft in description. If they put a ton of water down, it's really dead ground, he might get away with it. But he's just got a high knee action. You're dead right, he has got a nice handicap beside him. And he is a brilliant jumper, and it is going to come in time. Whether it's going to be at Cheltenham, I hope so. I'd love to see the horse do it. He deserves it. But he ran quite well in Boodles. I think it was 2 years ago. He was 5th or 6th in it. And I think if we put him to Triumph that year, it could have actually played out better for him. It was a soft ground that year. It was on the Friday. But look, he's a nice horse, but a good chance. I'm happy going with him.
Nassalam 10, 12 to 1 around that price. I think he's a right chance in the ultimate. Shoot first in the per attempts. This is a bad price for a handicap. It really is. I did it last year with was it Gaelic Warrior at 2 to 1 or 5 to 2? I put him up, but this was around 4 to 1 for the per attempts. The trainer Charles Byrne ran him in one of the first qualifiers at the start of the season. Looked incredibly well handicapped that day. Won with ease, and they have not run this race since, and they've run this horse since. And I just think this is a proper plot job for Charles Byrne. And the last one will be Mars Harper. This horse in the plate. Now this horse I mentioned during the race we talked about with Mighty Potter. This horse was second to Mighty Potter over 3.5 miles, and was second to Mighty Potter by 3.5 lengths. And Mighty Potter is one that we've been really strong with during the preview. I just think he's behind a really quality horse. I cannot believe this horse's mark has dropped all the way down, I think, looking at the Race Post website, to 10 stone 7. I just think he's incredibly well handicapped. Could be one of the best handicap chasers at the festival. I think he's around 25 to 1, 20 to 1 for the plate. I'll be taking that. I think that's a fair price. Mattie, handicap fancies, run through him quick.
Yeah, I did fancy Shoot first, the same as you, but I was very impressed with Thanks for the Help the other day at Chepstow. Pipeys, he went round there in second gear on the bridle, won quite well for JP McManus. And then in the Johnny Henderson, I like 2 horses in that. I do like Acon Risk that won the Betfair hurdle for Chris Gordon. His horses are absolutely flying at the minute. That's 8 to 1. And I do like the Dan Skelton horse, 3rd time lucky, bounced back to form last time out at Sandown. And many moons ago, they thought this horse could be a top class 2 mile chaser. So yeah, I'd them 2 in that Johnny Henderson.
That looks a proper plot job, old third time lucky.
Yeah.
Niall, yourself?
I'm going to take Mattie on in the Grand Annual. Going to go for Andy DeFrenze, for Gordon Elliott. He's a very good trainer. He's going to have a handicap winner. What was that?
Never seen Shawshank Redemption. You never seen Shawshank Redemption. Andy Dufresne.
Andy DeFrenze. Apologies. Anyway, and I do agree with Batchy for thanks for the help in the Perth Temps. I rode in that race. I was at the front end of the pack for about 3/4 of the race, and then I absolutely plummeted out of the back TV screen. We went too fast. It was a proper end-to-end gallop, ground rode well, and I came back in, looked at the replay, and that horse was still in second gear. And it rode like it rode like the Silver Trophy, it's right, or 2 mile 4 race, and it rode over 3 miles. So he's got the gears, and he's off 10 stone 7. I think he's thrown into weights.
There you go, big mention for Mattie and Niall for one of the attempts there. Jack, your handicap fancies quickly? He should get, yeah.
First one for me is the Grand Annual. Dad's Lad. They put him away after winning in October. Got the better of Editor Jeet, of course, and Effenock Fizz as well. But that was on decent ground. He's 3 from 4 over fences. I know he's been hiked up by the BHA, but I still think he's probably well handicapped. I know they have big plans for him as well. Hopefully the owner's going forward. I think he's quite classy. They ran him in the Greatwood. They've kept him fresh. He does it well around Cheltenham, and I think he's probably still well handicapped. The other one's in the Boodles. It's a bit boring. I think Takal's well handicapped. I know he's rated 135 now. Traveller an absolute dream. Went odds on him playing the Spring Juvenile Hurdle. Just didn't really want to know behind Lossiemouth and Gallimasso. So I think he's still well handicapped of 135. He's 4-1, so he's priced probably correctly, but I think he's going to go very close.
There we go. Phew. I want to give just a quick mention to one in the Hunter's Chase. And I did it last year, I'm going to do it again, but Bob & Co is going to win it. David Maxwell is going to be on board, swinging along. This horse has gone from Paul Nicholls to Harry Derham for this festival. And this horse hasn't run for a long, long period. This horse runs very well fresh. I think Nicholls has gone to Harry Derham. Here you go. You can have your first big Cheltenham Festival winner. David Maxwell's finally going to win at the Cheltenham Festival. We'd all love to see it. It's going to happen. He's 14-1. I think this horse will go very close. So we'll leave it at that. Bob & Co's going to do that. Let's get into naps. Don't say anything now.
I can't believe you've done that just before the naps. I'd rather be watching the 6:30 at Wolverhampton than the Hunter's Chase and Bob & Co. Goodness me.
Oh, you're discussing naps down the end here. Oh, okay.
Ask him why isn't that?
That's right. No, we're going to do £20 charity naps for the festival. And Mattie, you don't want to put it on your treble. You just want to put it on John Bon.
Well, if we all have a nap, we'll do it.
Oh, I can do.
Yeah?
I'll put a £5 on the 4-fold and 20.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'll do that. Right. So
John
you're going to have John
Well,
Bon.
I want to read your 2 selections first because you 2 haven't got a Scooby-Doo. So let's listen to them first, then I'll make a decision.
Well, I'm going
to... John Bon for me.
Oh, by the way, we were looking at selections before, and Mattie put up 5 out of 5 favourites on the first day.
Yeah.
So the man knows. The man is shrewd.
I know, yeah. I've been there, I've done there, I've rode in Gold Cups. I know.
Right,
I know what I'm talking about.
I'll put a short one in there. Mighty Potter's going to win the Turners.
Yeah, you can have that one. Well done.
There we go. Yeah, we'll win.
No.
No, we'll go to Jack because I was.
No, I'm going to no.
Editor Geet and Cheltenham Chase.
Yeah, there it is. Editor de Jeet is going to win the
Per
champion
penny, per
chase.
pound.
We'd love to see it. £20, going to return a good amount.
Oh,
Everyone in
dear.
this room is going to cheer home Editor de Jeet.
It doesn't really matter what you choose now, Jack, because Edwardstone wins that anyway.
Actually, I'm off the hook.
Mattie, we could have 2 in that race and he could put Newbay Necker each way, couldn't he?
No, he can't.
No, could go for one, not a price. Allegor Devassi, I think, has a great chance, but Corbett's Cross will not go off 7-2 if he runs, and I'll be very surprised if he does go very close in the Albert Bartlett.
There we go, our naps of the festival. And that is it for our preview. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone for coming this evening. Jack and I do this off our own back. There's no sponsor. There's none of that. We put a lot of hard work in, so we appreciate you guys buying tickets, coming along, listening to us talk about horse racing. Hopefully you've made some notes and you'll be able to go through those during the festival, and we'll find you some winners. Hopefully you'll be cheering on Niall Houlihan in the champion chase. Let's first of all...
Come on, Niall!
There we go. Right. Right, this is probably the worst end to a preview. So Mattie Batchelor has a confetti cannon there, and he's decided to open it up the wrong end.
It's an Irish one.
Let's give a big hand to Mattie Batchelor on the end. He's been great this evening. Once again, a big cheer for Niall Houlihan, everyone. Jack, any last words? Big thanks to you as always.
Last thing, Sam's put this all together pretty much, so massive round of applause for Sam. This wouldn't happen without him, so...
Thank you very much, everyone. I'm sure I'll speak to a lot of you after. The bar will still be open. Come have a chat with myself and Jack for the last 10, 15 minutes. We're more than happy to have a chat. Enjoy the festival, and we'll see you very soon.